Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Keep it out. Here is McKinnon. Walking it. McKinnon still with control of the shot. McKinnon! Slip past it. Towns right to the rim. Carl Anthony Towns with the right hand.
Wow, explosive athletes. Reed Shepard. Wow! Each one is progressively getting further and further away. That's his fourth. He already has 12.
In the air to West, sending Ramos back at the wall. It is gone. Two-run home run for Ramon Laureano, his second home run of the year. Padres take a 5-1 lead.
High fly ball, deep left center, going back to Rosarena, turning, looking, see ya! A 3-run home run for Goldschmidt, and the Yankees lead 4-0.
Line drive, right field, base hit. Canzone is in, right on his heels, Cole Young. Cal Raleigh puts the Mariners on the board, and we got a ball game at the bottom of the 8th inning. Little pop, shallow right, into no man's land. It's going to drop, and the Cardinals win it. Mason Wynn with a little flair, and the Cardinals in the 11th get a blue pit, a big win, and take the series 2-1.
Good morning. Welcome in Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Next Gen Mail Medical. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports HQ. What's up, DB?
How we doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. My buddy AA Ron, he brought some turf.
Oh, do we have better years now?
90. Sure, it's better years. 93, 97.
So this was my request. I said we need winter years.
What do you think?
I'm gonna be honest. Both of these would F you up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't.
Have you? You haven't. I was about to say, have you not seen my body under here? It's pretty raggedy.
I was saying, no. You keep those sleeves and pants pretty long most of the time. I've seen your knees before.
Yeah, they suck.
When you're wearing shorts or whatever, like those things look like they've seen better days.
It's cheese grater.
Yeah, no. This is not. This is like a Brillo pad.
Yeah, it's tough.
Nobody should be doing anything on this except like cleaning a sink.
And then people whine, but grass isn't a very good investment. I was like, shoot. It's not. I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, I think it's a great investment. There's pretty significant studies that turf leads to higher injuries. So I don't know.
I kind of get. What do you call them? Chicken skin. What is it?
I get goosebumps. That's what I call it. But I'd heard other people call it chicken
bumps.
Chicken skin. I thought it was weird.
Chicken skin. Look, don't you start. Don't you start over there laughing. You just got back in the captain's chair, Sash. Jeez. Whatever it is. The thing with the bumps.
Yeah.
I took 2 of those delicious thighs I made yesterday. I took the skin off, left them in the oven to crisp them up.
Yeah, you sent me a picture of the, what was it, Peruvian?
Man.
It looked good. I'd eat
Did it not look just like the TikTok?
It did. I was impressed.
Yeah, man. Like I was
Even the sauce was the same color and everything.
I was not messing around. And it just, so I always look for restaurants. I always look for recipes where we have most everything.
Yeah.
Because we've been fortunate where we just stockpiled stuff.
Yeah.
So like we have like.
So you have a lot of like meat sourcing options.
And like seasonings and stuff. Like, I mean, you can get cardamom, dark soy, and, coriander in our deal or sesame seeds or, rice wine or, like it just, whenever stuff, I killed the grocery store when they were closing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The one by you?
Yeah. I mean, I just legit, basil and say like now I need someplace to put it. But
storage is always an issue.
So when I'm like looking for recipes on TikTok, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna assume we have the protein. So I'm only limited by my creativity.
So it's kind of funny. This is a weird analogy, but
yes, I did use the drum barrel in the rain yesterday.
I do the same thing with clothes. Like I buy them when they're like out of season and on sale, so that like when I've got, we got the Jet Award tonight, so I don't have to be like, oh, I gotta find a suit for the Jet Award. Like I've got it. because I buy it when I don't need it.
I do not want to wear a tie.
I think that's okay. If
No,
the suit's nice, you don't have to wear a tie.
so I'm like, all right. So now I was just the last couple of days, I'm like thinking about what kind of shirt I want to wear. But I think suits, I look at, my equivalent?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be like, lawn furniture.
Oh, no, I get that.
Like
you
patio
buy it out
furniture.
of season.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's cheaper. No, I get that.
Because
we did the same thing with our Adirondack chairs.
Adirondack. Very nice.
Yeah, they're good chairs. I like those.
When I was little younger and I thought I was going to be a Major League Baseball player, I had a separate set of bats, and they were wood. And 2 of them were Adirondacks.
Oh, yeah?
So that's what makes, when you say that, like, that's what I think of.
Yeah.
And I remember I was like 15 or 16. I was like, how does anybody hit with these things? It hurts my hands. That's what I said. Oh.
I don't think Adirondack is a very popular wood anymore. Like I think it's pretty unforgiving.
Well, I'm old.
Yeah, it's like mostly like maple and ash now. I think.
Yeah,
and I think there's some birch, but not a. I don't.
Ooh,
I do.
Simon.
I do remember.
Did you ever see Simon Birch?
No, I did not.
Oh man,
I was thinking of Birch.
Were there when no one was.
One of your favorite movies has a guy named Birch in it. One of our collective favorite movies.
Birch.
It's a deep cut.
All right, give it to me.
So the guys in For Love of the Game, Kevin Costner's best friend that plays for the Yankees now.
Oh,
his
yeah.
last name is Birch.
Birch. That's what the brother's name was?
Yeah.
I thought it was Johnson or Williams or Smith or something.
Washington.
He looked like a Washington, kind of like UL. Remember him? What was UL Washington?
I don't know UL Washington. I got to Google that.
Now you talk about a deep cut.
UL Washington. I mostly know Denzel and Denzel's kid.
Well, UL Washington will give you Denzel vibes since you think all black people look alike.
That's not true. That's not true at all.
Yeah. What do you?
That is a deep cut. I would not have ever known.
UL Washington. Did
rest in peace, UL.
Yeah. What position do you play?
What do we got here? He was give me anything, Wikipedia. Come on, man. He was a baseball player and coach. Thanks. That's helpful.
Your bus is just on the struggle route. Speaking of which, how about the drive over?
Not ideal.
Ooh,
yeah,
this is
why the bus is on the struggle route.
Oh, gosh.
We're doing I ate already. We're fine. It's just taking a minute.
What are you doing down there?
Just one of those mornings. Probably the weather, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah.
People don't believe me. It messes with it. Like when the weather's weird. It is what it is.
I've seen you act much worse, though.
Yeah.
So you're learning to. No, you've had 38 years to practice.
I've eaten already, so it's like coming back up. We're on the upswing. It's just this graph hasn't caught up yet.
Is that accurate?
Yeah. It's usually a few minutes behind. It's not like
so you may be in the 80s by now.
Yeah, so like I'm on the upswing. I ate what I needed to on the car,
Hey, listen. I got DNR tattooed all over my body, so I don't have to worry about it, but I don't know how you feel. If you keel over.
I want to be cremated.
Yeah.
I don't want to turn into a zombie.
I know you're going to be like, oh, I thought he was your friend, but I just got some estate paperwork from AA Ron yesterday.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's very morbid.
No, I think it's important. Estate planning is very important. I've been helping I help my parents with that.
Well, that's great. They're significantly older than me. I feel encouraged.
They are, but they were late to the party, so
wow.
I kind of got on them.
There's matter of fact, and then there's you. That's very funny.
Well, I'll be honest. It took me it took a while for prodding my dad in particular. I was like, hey, what finally did it? I was like, hey, if you don't do this, the government just gets everything, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, that's not happening.
Yeah, all of a sudden kickstart.
Yeah. And I was like, I think we need a trust. And I was like, I think you need a trust too.
Kind of morbid. But so you guys get to get on the interstate. Right?
Yeah. I don't know that was better this morning.
So I'm curious because I had to go to
that thing wet.
West Side First.
Mm-hmm.
And I, of course, live right around the corner from here. So it was a little neighborhoody. Dude, hydroplaning was real. Do you worry about that on the interstate?
Yeah, especially if you're in the outside lanes where it kind of pools a little bit.
Because I don't know what was going on yesterday with people driving, but 80, I think we just were intentionally running into things. It was incredible yesterday with the accidents. And it wasn't snow, it was water.
I'm going to get my Shane game right here at shortstop and second base.
Yeah, you are. Very nice. That's pretty good delay.
Yeah, I know.
Those are my favorite positions. So yeah, that's good.
I was a big.
Used to coming in second, and you lived your life as a shorty. Not bad. Oh, Sasha's got. She laughs at me. She feels bad for Shane. Oh, Shane. She's like, he said something stupid again. Funny dude.
Say anything about Shane. It's like, oh, Shane.
Well, in my playing career, I started at shortstop, but then as I got older, I couldn't throw the
Shane,
ball.
There's no way you fielded a ball with your eyes open.
So I got moved to second base.
I have a legitimate question here based on what Shane just said. Because
Fibonacci?
No, I'm not. He might be telling the truth. I'm curious about what age ranges we're talking about here.
Shane, about what? 7, 8 years old?
Yeah, I mean it was early.
What's the latest year you played baseball?
7th grade.
Okay. So here's my question.
8th grade.
Here's my question.
Into 8th grade.
At what point
were you still using a T?
No.
At what point can you call it a career? Like my playing career. Like what level do you have to achieve in order? Because I'll be honest, when he said my playing career just hit me wrong. I was like, I don't think anything pre-high school counts as a playing career.
It's all relative.
You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just being mean today.
Hey, Liquid, how was your drive over?
That thing wet.
Yeah, it was wet. I'm usually not. I mean, rain is rain, but it is a little different this morning. I got the pre-emergent down.
Yeah?
Yeah. Lupe, I think so. I asked Lupe because I remember I told you Lupe kind of low-key lectured me last year on timing and when to do it.
Yeah.
So when I looked at the forecast, I was like, hey, Lupe, is today a good day? He's like, yeah, man. I said, well, when did you do? He said, rain's coming this week. I said, well, when did you do yours? Well, I did mine 2 weeks ago. I was like, damn it. He said, you're still all good, bro.
Scott says the walk sucked this morning, DB.
Oh, so yeah, they give two craps about the weather.
Yeah.
They get their walk game right. But the problem though, Scott, is the smell of wet dog it's
aggressive.
It is not they're getting in the bath. I just can't stand it because they go everywhere I go. So they're constantly underneath me. Like I don't know about everybody else's dogs, but my dogs do not do their own thing in the house. They do what I'm doing.
Mine are little shadows.
So it's like
literally shadow.
I'm not about to. I'm not
Velcro dogs is what we call them.
I'm not about to put up with that.
Yeah, my dogs won't even go. Like it's hard to get my dogs to go outside when it's raining. Like to just go to the bathroom. They're certainly not taking a walk.
Dude, Bella will sleep in the crease of she'll sleep right here.
Yeah. Well, she's a little bitty thing too.
She is. She's about to get her little Bunda spade.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing the whole diaper.
No,
chasing around the house thing.
Absolutely not.
And I found a fairly affordable place. I was dreading it. I put it off and put it off. I'm like at the 8-month mark.
Yeah.
I'm not interested. I'm like, okay, time's
you got to do it. Yeah. I think, I don't know where you end up going, but I think the Humane Society does it pretty affordably. They have like a clinic right out in front of them.
The one off 90th?
Yeah. They have, it's called something else.
Because this place is about a 28-minute drive from me, and she'd have to stay the night.
Call the Humane Society. I think they have to stay the night regardless, because with
the stitches?
Female dogs, it's more invasive than it is with male dogs. Because you got to like
want to hurt.
Go in, so just like snip and good. But yeah, I call the Humane Society. They have. That's where I got my last one done, and they did a good job.
Yeah. So I'm like, huh. And speaking of female dogs. Well, I don't mean it like that. Careful. I don't mean it like that. It is my daughter, but it just happens to be a female. This little girl did yesterday.
Yeah.
So it's April Fool's. She's very smart. Doesn't say much of anything. This little girl put a row of egg noodles.
Mm-hmm.
Uncooked egg bow tie.
Yeah.
Underneath the toilet seat. You know how you lift the toilet seat to pee?
Oh, because it was April Fool's Day?
Yeah.
So she was trying to like do a prank on you?
Trying. Everything had to go right for this to work.
Yeah.
Right? Because I don't typically sit down during the day. Just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Had lunch, had to start my day over again. Finished therapy or whatever. Man, I sit down. like kind of in a hurry.
Mm-hmm.
That thing went like I thought the
you like broke the bowl.
The lid broke.
Oh yeah.
Like I thought the lid snapped.
Yeah.
All these broken noodles fall over the floor and in the toilet. I was like, what the? And of course, Bella is underneath me, just eating raw.
She probably thought it was the best day ever. She's like, we just got noodles falling
Listen,
from heaven.
I'm steaming Willie Beeman. I sat on this thing from like 2:10 until I picked her up. She just comes bebopping out and says, hey, April Fools, huh? She said, haha, did it work? It worked every time on my YouTube videos. I said, look, I said, how did your mom not know?
Yeah.
Like, when did you do this? And she said, oh, she was waiting for me to go to school, and I told her I had to use the bathroom right quick. Yeah. Yeah. I took it would have been like the out of context pictures would have been sensational.
People are like, why are there
I
noodles
know, and I haven't lived down the vacuum sealed corn dog, so I was like, nobody will get this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like it took everything. And she's 7, right?
Yeah.
It took everything I had not to be pissed.
Yeah.
Like I was legit mad. If the dog wouldn't have been eating
the toilet noodles.
Yeah. Okay.
Sasha didn't like that term.
Toilet noodles.
I mean, that's part of the reason it bothered you, right?
Yeah. And I got like it had to line up perfectly. I'm a lift. I don't use the bathroom in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
Like normally I would just lift the lid and I would have seen the nice little like, circular ring.
What the hell's going on here?
Yeah, she caught a break. She laughed her ass off. I said, oh.
You have to watch out for that one.
Dude, she's wild.
You think Mike is trouble. You have to watch out for that one.
Yeah. Mike and I stayed at the dinner table extra long last night.
Yeah. Hell of a conversation.
Yep. Yep. About 12 straight minutes of just this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he sits right next to me. It's just
a little heart to heart.
Yep. Yep.
How'd that go?
Do you want to know what it started over?
I have a guess.
I'm painting the picture like he's naughty. He's not. He's very.
No, he's a good kid. He just he has a certain personality that, especially when you're younger, can be tough to deal with.
Yeah. So he was on like his 5th thigh.
Yeah.
And so I just happened to take a look over, and I said, "Hey, it's a lot of meat left on that bone." He's got his head down at the plate, and he goes, "Does that bother you? Is it giving you the what does?"
The what?
The what does? Because sometimes I say, "What the?"
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So that kind of
that'll put you in a mood immediately.
Kind of bothered me a little bit. I said, "Look, man,
get you on the back foot immediately."
Put a lot of time into this. Feel like that's a little dismissive. My man said something slick. Let's chat.
Need to have a little discussion here.
Yeah.
Maybe I will ship you off to Florida.
Somehow it morphed into this whole taking me for granted thing. I told him we were going to call him. I said, when are you open this morning?
Yeah.
And he's like 9:40. I was like, could you handle us just breaking you off a call? Just shoot the breeze. No pun intended, breeze. Yeah. He's like, oh yeah, hit me up. Okay. All right. And for whatever the reason, TK has loved this dude since he's been like this couple years now. Like, TK rocks with this guy.
TK says I would have paid Micah any amount of money for him to ask you if you were traumatized.
So hey, God is my witness.
Yeah.
He used the word.
Did he?
That's what sent me over. But I wasn't going to give TK the ammo because Kobe said it first.
Yeah.
And I was like, no. But I have to be like, because if we talk to him, that's what he's going to say.
Yeah.
He goes, are you traumatized by that? Okay. And it just, all these things just went through my head. I was like, I'm never, because I hung the word up after they've been, the last 3 weeks, man, I like dumped the word.
Yeah.
And he brought it up, and I'd like it brought up some feels.
That's yeah, that's
and he's like 194 now, so he's over 6 foot. Now he even when he stands up, man, he does this is what he does.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey man, like you feel good? Do you feel good? Because you can catch one in the rib cage.
Just feeling himself a little bit.
Yeah. That's my dude though. We're going to we have a couple of things we got to do for visits, and he's like, yeah, I just want to make sure you can get that on the calendar so we're not scrambling. Like that's how he talks. Like, when do we ever scramble, bro?
Maybe he feels like it's scrambling and maybe you don't. You know,
I'm not. No,
not a scrambler.
No, I'm not when it comes to that stuff. Like this, no.
You did play some quarterback though.
Yeah. When I was one of those guys that was so hard-headed that I was a passer. I didn't really enjoy running.
Then you turned into running back.
Well, you go 1-9, you start running.
A little ironic.
Yeah, don't you think? I have some questions, though.
I love answering questions for you.
So after the last couple of days of shows, I blame Sam because this is how this started with, I think people thought my take was a hot take.
Oh, about Nebraska's expenditures?
Yeah.
And where they fall in line?
So we've got expenditures. We've got kind of the state of the union. We've got kind of the demeanor, the fan bases, the media. It's been a very, what would you call this week since Monday?
I would call it, I don't know if contentious is too strong.
Contentious is a good word. Have you felt the heat in your personal life? Because I've had to answer the phone about 7 times this week. Why?
No. So the lucky thing that I have is I'm fairly insulated from a lot of these things.
Yeah, but you had the most famous of the meltdowns.
Yeah, but it's hard to argue with things that are unequivocally true. You know what I mean? Like, that's not an opinion.
Yeah.
Right? Because, so I think part of the pushback with your thing was,
I'm sure it caught people off guard.
And I think it came across as speculation, although I think it was reasonably well informed, even if you don't know the exact number, right? When we're talking about where Nebraska falls in Big Ten expenditures.
Yeah,
Sam said 8. You said closer to 10 to 12.
I 100% stand by what I said.
Which is totally fine. It's harder to nail down. Anybody can look up on Google and say, is there any other power conference team that's been through what Nebraska's been through? And the answer is no.
Oh, from yesterday?
Yeah. So, I understand why you've received more pushback because yours is at least debatable because the numbers aren't readily available.
Yeah.
Where mine is like anybody with a phone and knowing how to operate Google even as well as I do, which is not good, can figure out the exact things that I'm telling you are true.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there just is no way around that. So I didn't get any pushback for what I said, even if people don't think that Nebraska's progress is as significant as I've made it, as I laid out yesterday. It's impossible to deny that they are a one of one in terms of the place they came from to get here.
Interesting.
Like, there's no way around that. I mean, you brought up a couple more teams in the.
I just feel like this wasn't like a controversial week. I wasn't expecting it to be. But it seems like it's gotten a little.
What were the 2 teams you asked me to look up?
USC
and Bama. So since 1966, USC has never missed more than 2 bowl games in a row.
I'm shocked.
1966. They've missed like 3 out of 4, but never more than 2 in a row. So there's that. Alabama.
Give me Bama from like 97 to when Saban got there, or 95.
Yeah, it's better than you remember.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, what are we talking about? I'll let you know.
Since 1959, Alabama has not missed more than 2 bowl games in a row, which they only did once. 2002. When I believe they were ineligible, but they still went 10-3. And 2003, after Dennis Franchione left for TCU, which is, or was it TCU or A&M? Let me look real quick. Because he left Alabama for a school that you're like, wait, I'm sorry, what?
A&M, I think.
Yes, he left for A&M.
Yeah.
He came from TCU. He left for A&M. Good job. Dennis Franchione left for A&M after a 10-3 year at Alabama, and I'm guessing he knew some sanctions were coming. And then Mike Shula went 4-9 in 2003. That is the only stretch in which they missed consecutive bowl games since the first year of Bear Bryant.
Do I even bring up Michigan?
Oh, Michigan's like the model of consistency.
Okay. What about...
I'll check real quick, but I don't think Michigan is...
No, you're probably right. I'm reaching now. I mean, yesterday was a struggle.
Yesterday, yeah, and here's the thing that I didn't even get into, right? I left it to all Power 4 teams because I knew that it was going to be a struggle to find any comps. The comps that we found were Stanford's current head coach, so we have no idea what's going to happen there yet, and then Kansas before Leipold, which still was a shorter bowl drought than Nebraska, but met my criteria of 5 years. And then Leipold was successful, and now they've had 2 consecutive losing seasons in a row. So I don't know what you want to do with Leipold, even though I think he's a really good coach. As far as Michigan's concerned, I don't think they missed consecutive bowl games under Rich Rod his first 2 years. And since before then, it was 1974, but they were 10-1, 10-0, 10-1. It was just a weird bowl game thing in the 70s with like the Rose Bowl and things like that. So, yeah, Michigan is the model of consistency.
What about A&M?
Ooh, A&M's an interesting one. Texas A&M and their 1930s national championship that they're very proud of.
I think because their 2027 class just took a huge bump.
Did it?
I think they may have went to 1.
Okay. Bowl games. They missed 2 in a row with Jimbo, although I don't remember. I think the 2021 was a sanctions deal because they were 8-4. Since then, they missed 3 straight under Jackie Sherrill in the 80s. They missed 2 straight under Tom Wilson in the 80s.
God, that's it.
And that is their longest bowl drought. They missed 2 in a row with...
Did we do Texas?
R.C. Slocum, Dennis Franchione. Yeah, they've never missed more than 2 in a row. We have not done Texas. Let's do Texas.
That might be it.
I guarantee Texas does not have a similar drought.
Ooh, guaranteed?
I would put whatever amount of money.
Texas is a powerful player.
1 under Sarkisian, 2 under Charlie Strong, 1 under Mac Brown, 1 under John Makovich in 97, 3 under John Makovich in 91, 2, 3.
You know that team under Makovic beat us.
Yep.
It's awesome because they were not very good during that stretch.
2 in the 80s under David
That was probably
McWilliams.
Their most pedestrian stretch, right?
Yeah, it was 1, 2, 91, 92, 93 under John Makovich.
What were their win totals? Give me 91 through 96.
91 is 5-6, 92 is 6-5, 93 is 5-5-1, 94 is 8-4, 95 is 10-2.
Okay.
96 is 8-5. They had 4-7 after that, and then it's 9, 9, 9, 11, 11, 11, 10. Yeah, it's over at that point.
Okay.
So nothing close. No one with the history of Nebraska has anything close to what we've experienced. So when we say things like, hey, why hasn't it happened faster or better or anything else? Look at all these other teams. You're looking at teams that unequivocally are not in the same situation as Nebraska. Full stop. So there is no apples to apples comparison. I'm not saying you can't have criticisms. I'm not saying that. I think there are fair questions. I think Rule would admit there's fair questions. I think like there are things we could ask him that he would answer. Honestly,
what would you ask him?
I would ask this one. I don't know if he would answer.
Oh, this ought to be good.
I would ask him if he had to do it over again, knowing what he knows now about everything that came with the Dylan Raiola experience, if he would still do it.
He would answer.
Okay. Because that's the thing that I look at. I mean, listen, people miss on coaching hires sometimes. I get it. That's whatever. I would ask what he thought he saw that might work. Because I always think that's interesting. It's easy to look back and be like, terrible coaching hire. It's like, yeah, we know it didn't work. That's not the interesting part. The
I
interesting
think
part.
I think the one you'd be most captivated by, is Butler.
Sure. I want to know, like, the interesting part to me when
Satterfield, he could explain immediately.
I don't even feel like I need an answer on Satterfield. I understand. I feel like I understand that one in its totality. The interesting ones to me are last year's with Braden and Butler, and I would throw Eckler in there too, because even though it worked as a football hire, clearly it didn't work in terms of what each party wanted from the situation.
Yeah.
So that's interesting to me.
Still offered the extension.
Yeah.
Which lets me know, all right, he's growing.
That the football was more important than whatever other issues there might have been. But I mean, obviously extensions have to be accepted, right? Like that's a two-way street. So I would ask about those three guys specifically, because again, the Satterfield one is not that interesting to me because I feel like I know what he was doing there. That was a culture hire. I want this to, like, I need to set the culture more and we'll figure out the offense, whatever. You can disagree or agree with the logic, but I feel pretty confident that's what happened there.
Yeah, because I just because some of that stuff I think is just fascinating. And this is a weird kind of connection, but this is on the heels of Self saying he's going to come back, right, for another year.
Yep.
And I don't know if Kansas fans were excited by that, or they're like, why dragging this out? Or, does the one more year mean this is like the not victory lap, but like the circus that comes with just one more year,
like the farewell tour.
And when you say that, how it impacts recruiting. So in my mind, I'm thinking,
especially if you don't have a succession place in plan and that the recruits know about.
In the new day, in the new age of NIL, where we see inflation. Listen, you guys, this isn't another hot take, like, where they are in spending. Like the price tag goes up every day for
everybody.
Well,
I mean, what was it a couple years ago when Coach Rule said a starting quarterback costs you $1 million? $1 million is a backup quarterback now.
Yeah.
Like full stop. Like it just is.
Yeah, it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
So on the heels of that, and I know how you feel about the private equity and stuff like that. And Rutgers is one of many. Rutgers is just the most public.
Yeah. That's just running up a tab that they don't have the cash to cover.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a disaster.
I just got to thinking, could Kansas ever be like Nebraska? Because there are some amazing similarities.
So when you talked about yesterday how Nebraska is such an outlier, the only program that's close is Kansas basketball. There's no reason for demographics and location that Kansas should be as good as it is at basketball.
Although the only reason I disagree with demographics is because of Missouri.
I get that.
I mean, but Missouri was good when Kansas was still doing their thing. So, I mean, you might be right. But I'm like, how close would Kansas, because it's setting up to be that way, because there's been this slow deterioration.
Yeah.
And then you do the 1 year thing when I think, would Kansas have liked to just hit the fresh reset now?
I think so. You're kind of put them in purgatory for a year.
Well, it's going to be hard now.
Yeah.
Right. But he says he's fully committed to winning a natty. I was like, this is going to be an interesting year, because now that everybody can do what Kansas was always good at, how important is it to be a blue blood when you're recruiting?
Yeah, I mean, I do still think all things being equal, it helps. But I think people are also much more aware of, okay, if I'm just going to throw this out for $1 million here or $1 million there or $1 million there, you start looking at other parts of the equation, right? If I'm getting my money regardless, then other things start to matter a lot more. What's the situation look like roster wise, not just at my position, but all the other positions? How much can I win? How much help am I going to have? What's the coach situation? Is this a coach that I have good personality with, or a good personality connection with? Is this a coach that I can count on in terms of playing a style that's going to be beneficial for me? Is this a guy like Bill Self next year? Like everything about Kansas is going to be about Bill Self next year.
So I kind of, I'm like, Coach, I don't know. There's just a lot of similarities. And this was on the heels of the conversation, which was turned out to be public. And I knew what he was doing when he tweeted at me, because the gentleman, and he was super cordial, and it was, I mean, the conversation was fine, but he was trying to pin me down to my comments about spending in the conference. And one of the analogies that I gave him was, it's the same one that I give all the time, because there's this misconception about just because you have money, like you're spending it, or you assume what you're spending it on. And I gave him the analogy. I'm like, look, man, have you ever wanted the he's probably got a baddie, right? I mean, so I won't assume he doesn't, but you go back to like your high school days or something, and like you want the particular girl, you save some money, you're going to take her out on a nice date, and she still says no, right? Yeah. And in the meantime, you saved all your lawn mowing money and your paperboy money, and then all of a sudden you incur a new expense. And then as you're evolving, and the new one comes around, like cost of dinner's more, right?
Yeah, price has gone up, inflation gone up, cost of gas has gone up
quickly.
Yeah,
quickly.
Yeah.
So the misconception is like where Nebraska belongs, and in the pecking order from our vantage point, or from everybody else that they're dealing with relative to who they're competing against. So we think in our mind, well, you got the money, just go get them. Or you have the money, spend it.
Yep.
Or I've seen the revenue. Like some of these programs are willing to run in the red. Nebraska's just not.
They're not going to operate that way.
So I think one of the things, it's like this with NIL, it's like this with donors. Nebraska has this thing that I think it's very unique, where we have this way of life, super ag, super work hard, get what you earn. We're not going to give you anything. There are no handouts. Like that's kind of the crux of who we are.
A very fiscally conservative people.
Yet we're in this era where it's about spending. We need to spend, we need to spend, we need to spend. And so I'm thinking to myself, we say that, but is that it's like you look in the mirror and it's like, oh man, is this who we are? Because ask any of the last 5 or 6 ADs about the perception of spending. I would guess 4 of the 5 would tell you that was part of the hardest part of the job, was the perception of spending. Because where you're getting those resources from, you have to find somebody that says, hey, I trust you to be a good steward. Do with this as you will. And it may go against the core of who I am as a businessman, or how I've made all my money.
Yeah.
So the duality in managing the philosophy versus what actually has to happen is something that I think hangs around in over the university when it comes to spending. But the perception of what should happen based on where the program is doesn't mesh. So we get frustrated with, well, why doesn't Buffett do this? And why? Look, he's never been that person.
No. Right? You want to talk about ROI. Like nobody cares about that more than Buffett.
You think the papers couldn't have functioned at a different level if he wanted them to?
Yeah, if he just wanted to throw money at it.
Like so and I just use that as an example because that's the one that comes to mind for everybody. Or Mowgli. Like there's lots of people. That's why the relationship with the Peds is so unique. Because, and I'm not saying that I'm privy to the freedom or the perception of, hey, here, just go spend.
Yeah.
But I know when people outwardly thank folks for their support and constantly bring their name up, they are allowing you to do what you think is best, and they trust you.
Yeah.
That's the only assumption I'll make. So
and they're about the only ones that have been called out by name.
So I don't know how many. I was just going to say, I don't know how many. There may be more.
Yeah. That just don't want to be called out by name.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't know how many of those there are. So when I say things about like where I think Nebraska is spending, like those are the things I think we just have to take a step back and take a look at. Where Yeah. Is Iowa more fiscally, have they done more with less?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, unequivocally. Yeah.
Yeah. But they also had a 26-year head start.
So that's something
so they've learned to work within managing the expectations. They perhaps have done it better than anybody.
Also, here's an important thing about Iowa, okay? Is by the time NIL and transfer portal and all this stuff came around, they weren't paying to change the perception of who they were.
Yeah, they still got. Do you know why though?
Why?
And you can't go back and recreate it, but the way that they recruited and the type of people they looked for weren't going to be as easily impacted by NIL and asking for money. Now, there's that 10% of maybe where they want to get over the hump.
Yes.
And you maybe need to go get a quarterback or a skill or whatever the stereotype is.
Edge rusher, whatever.
Those are the outliers. Shoot, they were getting edge rushers.
Yeah, they were.
I mean, they were turning so they just played in such a way where the economic impact of going to the highest bidder, they were going to be the least affected. Well, because they're steady Eddie to begin with.
And for a couple reasons, right? And this is why, I mean, it costs more to catch up.
That's why I don't like the Iowa comparison. Like, they're unique because they're really good at what they do.
So by the time that everybody was starting to write checks, right? So within the last 3-4 years, by the time that came around, what was Iowa already known for? Winning at a consistent level, sending very specific position groups to the NFL on a very consistent basis. You brought up edge rushers. They have a bunch of edge rushers in the NFL. They have a bunch of offensive linemen in the NFL.
Tight ends,
bunch of tight ends in the NFL.
Which is indicative of how they play offense, right?
So if you're a Nebraska football fan, where do you think two of the biggest position groups are that people would say like, oh, if we could get good at those places, offensive line and defensive line, right? Those are the places Iowa already had a reputation for putting guys in the league. You know what that reputation does? It makes it cost less to go get those guys.
I understand.
Right? Nebraska doesn't have that reputation. Nebraska's reputation for putting guys into the NFL is maybe the only thing that's taken a bigger hit.
And the one thing that we don't talk about with regards to that is the identity crisis.
Yes.
So trying to be all these different things in terms of the evolution to stay with,
which is what happens when you fire a coach every 4 years.
Well, that and yes and no. To go before that, though, like stylistically, Coach Osborne would tell you, and I hate using him as an example because we've got to move on past this. But I will say part of the reason he was able to recruit the way he did was because he picked a style of play that he could recruit to.
Yes.
So you could get a wide receiver in high school that had 18 catches in college or in high school and say, hey, I can put you on national television twice a year and you can play in big games, but you're still not going to catch very many balls. Would you like to come? Or, the offensive lineman and the style of play that they were.
You could get a guy that weighed 240 in high school.
Wait 3 years and he can turn into he's going to just turn into Zach Weger because you're not always going to be an Outland Trophy winner. But you can go get a 220-pound guy to Fremont Bergen and wait a couple of years while he's playing behind board.
And he turns into a 280-pound guy that's hypermobile and can do what you want.
And now, Teal, you're back out of it. Like I was doing that.
Yes.
They
haven't changed their identity in 26 years.
So that's
the only thing that's changed.
So they have a significant head start, and
it costs more to catch up than it does to sustain. It just does.
Yeah. I mean,
that's in everything. We see that in basketball games when a team is down by 20 points and they get to within like 3. What do we always say? They ran out of energy because it takes more energy to catch up than it does to stay.
Just imagine if, like, all of a sudden they went from one Parker to the next, right? Different, like I get it, just same last names. But guess who isn't, hanging around Kirk's office saying, well, if such and such a school may come to get me, how about more money? Like, you don't hear about any of that.
No.
Right? And it's like, the comparison, and this isn't me saying this is not fair. I was just good at it. What I'm telling you is when you use them, it's like when we use basketball. Why can't they do what basketball did? And I'm like, you're not comparing apples to apples.
No.
Right. So that's why I don't love.
And we haven't even gotten into expectations yet.
It just that's why yesterday sent me off. And to Phantom Husker's credit, I'm not calling him out. Like, but he posted like on a message board. He's like, hey, he's talking to me.
Yeah.
I was like, shoot. That's why I screenshot you guys. I was like, hey, I mean, if he's all in, he clearly put out the bat signal.
Yeah, I mean, his email came in like right about the same time that post was up. So it wasn't like we missed it. Like the email, because I'm on that inbox. That email came in almost the exact same time he posted that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I just was like, and it's not, I didn't, he's like, oh, fair warning, I'm a good debater. I was like, let's bring it on. But it's not necessarily an argument or a back and forth. It's an expectation versus practicality thing.
Yeah.
Right. It's expectations versus practicality. Well,
and somebody brought up I thought it was a good example when you're talking about businesses and spending money and things like that is, research and development burns a lot of cash.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. When you don't have, clearly Nebraska doesn't have the product yet that they want to put on the field. So they have to burn more cash to get that product up to snuff before that product is viable.
Could I convince you that you're starting to see the way that you think they want to play?
Yes.
Or no?
Yeah, you could. I think this offseason was very telling. I think we learned a lot in this last 4 months.
With the hiring cycle or?
With all of it. With the hiring cycle, with the players that stayed versus the players that left. I think we learned a lot. Because, maybe we're privy to, I don't think that much more information about the Dillon situation than is public, but I think that situation is very telling about what this program wants to be, both in terms of personality and in terms of playing style. I don't, and also just, I think there's a realization that traditional drop back quarterbacks, guys that are essentially statues, it's really hard to win in college football with those guys. It just is. You have to be so good at every other spot for that to work. And Nebraska's not at that point. Most schools never get to that point. There's a handful of schools in the country that are ever at a place where they say, we can take a guy who just cannot move, but we can protect him, we can have the weapons for him, and we can play that style, and we can run the ball well enough that we don't need the extra guy to be accounted for in our run game, right? There's maybe a handful of those teams in the country in any given year. People will go back to guys that are great passers in the NFL. Let's not forget how mobile Joe Burrow is. That dude's a great athlete, and he moves around in the pocket like crazy. The comp coming out of college was Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is a great mover, right? Even Trevor Lawrence. I know people kill me on Trevor Lawrence all the time. That guy can move. Mm-hmm. He may not be a runner, but that dude can move, right? And those, I'm not saying you got to be able to break off 60-yard runs. What I am saying is you got to be able to buy yourself some time in the pocket. And that I think that really levels the learning curve, because I think what we saw from Dillon the last couple of years about holding on to the ball a little bit too long is pretty common, but it's not super common with the guy that cannot move. I think a lot of mobile quarterbacks also hold on for the ball for too long when they're young, but they can get themselves out of trouble and buy themselves the time they need to see what they need to see. So I think stylistically, we've learned a lot about what Nebraska wants to be, and I think from a culture standpoint, we've learned a lot about what Nebraska wants to be. And I think we would have learned that sooner. And this is, I know people, I have a reputation with Dillon. I think the Dillon thing really changed everybody's expectation, not just fans, but even from a coaching standpoint. You can't not take Dylan Raiola if he says he wants to come here. It's just not an option. I don't care what your culture is. I don't care about personality fit versus offense fit. It's just not an option to not bring in a 5-star quarterback with a last name that's a legacy. You can't do it. You will get fired tomorrow. It's not an option. So I understand,
that's interesting.
They may have known in the moment, I don't know if this is the right fit, but you do understand, hey, this is something we have to do. And we probably think he's good enough to maybe overcome. And that's where people are almost always wrong. is I think X player is good enough to overcome my concerns.
Yeah, Dixie, you gotta hear the point he's trying to make. It's not, you gotta be smart enough to know it's not just a Dylan thing.
He is
at that stage in a coaching career, which is early in the development of when a guy gets here, and you're banking on a quarterback. Like, just setting the standard for where you are in year 4 and how we because what you're doing is part of the problem. Being dismissive of feeling like you've got a guy as a program starter that didn't end up being your guy early in a coaching tenure is how you have the year 4 conversations. So we have to grow up and move past saying, "Oh, I'm tired of talking." It's this. Let's say his name was Ken Thomas or whatever his name was, right? When
he's just the biggest example of what I'm talking about.
No, I know. I know.
Like,
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Like
I know you understand,
because I'm in the solutions business. I'm not. You can't just, what we're really good at when we don't have to really actually do anything, we just get to sit and bitch, is we don't have to think about how we got here. We're afforded the luxury of saying, "See you in August, man. Just win." Or
just win games.
No, it doesn't matter. Just win. The problem with that is what are you doing in the meantime to give yourself a chance to be a winning program? Like, you're not afforded that luxury when you're in it.
Also, it all matters. All of it matters.
Like, so, to the point which really started this thing, and it morphed back to Nebraska, is like, if I'm Kansas or, I'm really, what's interesting, but they're not there yet, except to their expectation levels. I look at a school like Bama in football, or there are some of these schools where Penn State, where it's like, okay, this is where we are. This is what the expectation level is. Are we really maintaining, or do we have to reinvest to do something different? Because Nebraska tried reinvesting and doing something different. And that's why we talk about, even though we don't use it correctly, that's why we talk about wasting money and it not being a good return. And that's why we have those conversations. And I'm fascinated as the landscape of college sports changes daily. It's like what were some of these guys going the portal like a year? Like, you know what it was to retain Trey Alexander versus what it would cost you today? You're talking about a $3 million difference. And I'm not.
Yeah.
That was 2 years ago.
Yeah. I miss Trey Alexander. Just balling in the G League. But yeah, you're correct. I mean, that was probably, if I had to guess.
Kalkbrenner is a $4 million basketball player in year 6.
Yeah. Easy.
So
Dixie, moving past it is only a solution if you figured out what went wrong. Moving past it without figuring out what didn't work.
He's smart. Don't fall for. He's smarter than this. He's just being stupid.
If you move past something without figuring out what didn't work, you didn't have a solution. You're just ignoring it, and you're doomed.
You're kicking the can
to fail again.
At some point, most companies, though, that you're talking about, figure out how they got here.
Yes, and if they don't, they go out of business.
Yeah, like that's what. If you really want to stop it, you have to figure out how you got here. Right? You just didn't magically wake up one day and say, "Oh my God, we're over here lamenting that we went 3-9, 7, whatever the stat is, 5-7, 7-6, 7-6." Like you move on from that when you understand why you're there.
Yes,
it's not sulking; it's called assessing. Now, whether you stay there or not, don't make that assumption.
Yeah, I think you could look at it and say unequivocally that they didn't stay there.
Yeah,
that they took evaluation, that they said, "Hey, this isn't the way we want to go about things moving forward," and they went a different direction. And that's where, until that works, again, you're going to take a bunch of slings and arrows for it until it works. But in the meantime, like, you can't just sit here and say, "Well, you have to move past Dylan, or you have to move past Eckler, or you have to move past whoever we're mad about in the moment. You have to move past Prince Will or whoever you're mad that they didn't keep and say, okay, what went wrong here? Why didn't this work, whether from our side or from their side, right? It's my 1% rule. No matter who's at fault, usually 1% of that falls on whichever party. Like it might be 99% Nebraska, 1% Eckler. It might be 1% Dillon, 99% Nebraska. I don't know. But you have to take accountability for your 1% or 50% or whatever that number is.
That's why I like the whole, I told you Coach Rule and Troy Dannon and some of the brass came up with, Nebraska's, the brain trust with the football staff came up with the things that were self-inflicted.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are the things that we could fix tomorrow?
100%
that we bring on ourselves.
What's
right?
in my control?
That list of 16, and you try to knock them off, kind of one by one. It's one of the main reasons why I got super serious yesterday after losing my mind over why you play in the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
Is it's such a critical year in terms of if you can, I'm going to say this again, if you can just show progress,
mm-hmm.
and you've lessened the turnovers, you're better with penalties, you feel like you've got minds in the building that give you a sense of accomplishment. When I walk out with Christian Jones and I ask him, I didn't recognize him.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm leaving, and I'm going to say this because he and I are thick as thieves. I saw this figure. I'm trying to get out of there.
Mm-hmm.
This is after the spring game. So there's a guy and he's signing autographs with like 3 little kids. He's got his hood on, but it's just the 3 little kids and him. He's towards the Hawks side, not by the complex side. So he had already come under the deal and was going out towards his car.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard he's like, I love Coach Benning. And I turned around. I was like, oh, it's like, CJ, what's up, man? Because he had a good scrimmage.
Mm-hmm.
And I made them. It's live, so I say some things sometimes where it's like, oh, fudge, I'd probably say that different. It was either in the post game with KC or during. I said I used the term surprisingly.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and Christian Jones surprisingly, and I was like, ooh, that's going to sound bad, but I had to keep it a buck, right? He was playing significantly better.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we're leaving, and I was like, CJ, I was like, man, I didn't see you under the hood, man. I said, oh my God, like I'm feeling his face. This is weird.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh my God. I was like, what happened to your cheeks? He's like, well, they gave me an ultimatum.
Leaning out a little bit.
And I was like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
He's like, well, they said get to 265 or 225, and I chose 225. And I was like,
because he was kind of chilling in no man's land at like 240, right?
I was like, okay, like here we go.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't say that because I think he's going to win the college buckets. I say because they're paying attention to detail.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you can't let guys just, it's not, hey, let's go get another one.
Yeah.
It's, we like some of the things we're doing. We've seen what's going on. He's in no man's land. He's chosen 225 because we have to get a little bit of a return on the investment and what we've invested.
Yeah.
And I'm watching him run around, and so we're talking, and I asked him, I said, what's the biggest difference other than your weight?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, it's so much clearer on what I'm supposed to be doing from a teaching standpoint.
Mm.
I didn't even ask anymore because I'm not going to put a young man in a compromising position because I could get him to say whatever I wanted to.
Yeah.
And I just out of respect, I was like, hey, man, keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, no. He's like, Coach B. He's like, when I'm in quarters, when I was like, hey, man, look at you. Like, and because I just know a year ago, he was like, what the?
Mm-hmm.
He goes, we just put in quarter. Like I can learn quarters and you could just see this.
Yeah. He could see the matrix now.
And I'm like, again, and I'm off the high of doing the little mini, 100 yards sprint 10 minutes earlier. And I was like, I'm driving home, man. And I like lowered my seat. I felt like my head was closer in the Legacy. And it's a small vehicle, but I was like, oh, am I going to?
floating.
Am I going to allow myself to be excited?
Yeah.
So I chilled. I lowered the seat. I was a little snug in there. But I was like, okay. Check. Ooh, make progress this year.
Mm-hmm.
Be better than you were a year ago. Look like a good, strong, physical football team. People are belly aching about this schedule. Play your ass off and compete and give yourself a chance to be an old team next year.
Mm-hmm.
Be an old team. You will be an old, strong, mature team. Because now the players are saying, hey, William, why are you fighting all the time in practice? Right? Like, why do guys do that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, for him, I haven't been very good. I need to be better. I just get frustrated. Well, my dude.
Self-awareness.
Right? You're not, quote unquote, sulking. You've assessed the issue.
Mm-hmm.
Now you get a chance to go work on it. So then people don't have to say, hey, should I be alarmed? Like, when Ari's working with this unit, I'm like, hey, guys, the whole 1-2s thing, these guys just got here. They're installing. They're going with who can get lined up. And, you'll win jobs just fine. These exit interviews that have been happening in 4 months of OTAs, but you have to figure out how we got here.
Yeah.
So the fact that we're starting to see little telltale signs, those are the things that I'm like, what am I doing in the meantime until I'm waiting to run down, going 9-3 and beating Iowa? Like, I don't want to have to say that.
No.
But I have to be honest with where
it's at.
Where we are. Like, I don't want to win 7 games. I do want to win 9. Do I only want to win 9? No.
No, and 12 or 15 or whatever that number ends up being with however many playoff teams there are.
But I do know the importance of having a good year. And I'm not sugarcoating. Like, this is a critical year.
Yeah.
I don't care what year it is. It's the next one,
yeah,
which makes it the biggest one. But it just so happens to teeter in between what's a pretty good young growing roster versus what could potentially be coming in the next year to really get the ball rolling. Because then I get the red shirt juniors and red shirt sophomores being supplemented by a good young freshman class.
Yeah.
And now I can start to see how you stay old.
Yep.
But it starts with these 4 months of OTAs.
Yeah. And you got to make enough progress to keep everybody.
Yeah. That's how I look at it. Like, doesn't have anything to do with whether I like a guy or not. It's, can I see
what they're trying to do?
What they're trying to do.
You know why the self-awareness thing is such a, that's a huge thing for me, is people being self-aware, programs being self-aware. Like, why that's such a big deal to me?
Yeah.
It's one of the only things that gives you a chance.
Oh,
like,
I'm telling you.
If you're self-aware, you've got a chance. If you're not, you might fall backwards into success every now and then, but it will not be sustainable.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick break here. We've got a full hour. I'm sure Austin's going to love that.
Wait, is he here?
He's somewhere.
I keep hearing his name all the time, man. He guy's a lot of places doing a lot of things.
He's all over the place. That's DB. I'm Ravi. Lulla. We'll be right back with more Hurrdat Sports Live coming up next.
Yeah, sure. Anywhere you go, whether it's Miami, Florida, whether it's South Carolina, Clemson, whether it's Nebraska, Creighton, when you have rivalry schools that are both good in that given sport, I think it makes it more fun for everybody. I told our guys pregame today, I wanted them to treat it like WBC Nebraska. That's how we wanted to approach it, because at the end of the day, they want to win the Big Ten. At the end of the day, we want to win the Big East. But these are fun games to play for the coaches, for the players, for the alumni, for the fans, for the media. We just wanted to treat it like that. The WBC was as fun a baseball as any of us have watched in a long time, and that's the attitude I wanted our guys to take tonight. Knowing that win or lose tonight, we're getting on a plane tomorrow morning to head to start the Big East Conference.
I'm not saying she's a dog again. Oh, I just said it. I did get in trouble for the other thing, by the way, from her. Anyway, sorry. You know, you guys are going to get so sick of me saying this about her. I've been watching her. I mean, I have a picture of her and me when she's 9 years old, and she was a competitor then. And that competitor just keeps growing. And so every time the competition ramps up a little bit, which she's been in a lot of fires this year, she just keeps answering the call, she keeps growing. Like, for instance, I'll give you an example. We have a Tuesday meeting, she and I. You know, how did we grow in the last week? Well, this is game day. She came to me this morning, she goes, we're still having our meeting, right? So we had our meeting. And we talked about, we talk about various things, but that's part of her competitive motor too, because she wants to keep getting better and just talking through things. So tip my hat to her.
Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Next Gen Male Medical. That's DB. I'm Ravi, Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports HQ, reminding you, call our friends over at Next Gen Male Medical, 402-614-9700. They've got you covered, whether you're, listen, I talked to Rico yesterday, tried to make some amends, and he goes, you know what? Why don't you get me hooked up with your guys over at Next Gen? So,
shoot,
it's one of those bitter pills to swallow, but I think it was some good truth serum for him. He's like, maybe I could still be a little bit closer to my track days.
Athletic,
a little bit closer to my track days. Those UNK photos that we saw yesterday. So we'll get Rico hooked up with our guys over at Next Gen, and you should as well. No matter what your age, where you're feeling in life, if you're not feeling like the best version of yourself, they've got you covered. They can help you out like they've helped out DB, like they've helped out me, like they're going to help out our guy Rico. Give them a call, 402-614-9700. It's Next Gen Male Medical. So where this whole thing started, and we got off on Nebraska football because we always do, is this Kansas situation with Bill Self, which I do think is fascinating, right? Not only the what does next year look like for Kansas, because they don't have a succession plan in place, but also
that we know of.
Yes, not a public one the way like Creighton did or anybody else recently. Like Duke's was pretty public with the John Shire thing as well. I am fascinated what they look like next year because I do think they're closer. Like, I think North Carolina would have a really hard time in basketball. They'd have to have several bad hires in a row to find themselves in a place where they become irrelevant within the national landscape of the sport. North Carolina is at some advantages that, say, Kansas is not. I think Kansas is a little more precarious than we maybe want to give it credit for.
I kind of agree.
Like,
I do.
It's a job that and a school where, yes, and it's the reason I compared it to Nebraska football is
people say that, Abe. I don't know.
Jock Vaughn.
I don't know. I get those Kansas circles, but
so you know what's funny is Chucky Chuck right before that says Jock Vaughn will not work, unfortunately, in my opinion, and Avery right after that says Jock Vaughn.
Yeah,
so that'll be super interesting.
Yeah, there's like this contingency that wants completely new, like the similarities are eerie between KU hoops
and Nebraska football.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I think is most similar, and the reason that I always have believed that Nebraska will find their way again, is because of the just unwavering commitment to being good at that thing. That's the one thing that is not an outlier from Nebraska, because I would argue more than geography or demographics or anything else, the people that have consistently been good in college athletics, whatever the sport, is they have consistently cared about it the most, and their resources reflect that. That is, to me, the biggest similarity between Kansas and Nebraska. But when you don't have some of those other advantages, you have to be really, really smart, and you have to not screw up very often because it can set you back in a hurry, as we've seen with Nebraska. The question for me with Kansas is, one of the things I've actually admired about the way they've gone about their program is they've traditionally gone outside of the family to make their hires. That's why the Jock Vaughn thing concerns me. Bill Self, not a Kansas guy. Born in Oklahoma, was coaching at Illinois, not a Kansas guy. Roy Williams, North Carolina guy through and through, came to Kansas, right? Larry Brown, not a Kansas guy, right? That is, again, a North Carolina guy through and through, ends up at Kansas. They have done a really good job. And listen, they haven't had to make a ton of coaching hires, so good on them. But they have done a really good job of, despite being a very proud program, it's not one of those. That's the biggest difference between them and North Carolina in their hires. Every North Carolina hire is a North Carolina guy.
Yeah.
And that's been their biggest problem, right? Hiring, the only guy that's worked out is Roy Williams, and he made his bones at Kansas, right? So the biggest thing for me is, are they going to continue in their tradition of finding the best guy to come to Kansas, or are they going to fall into this trap of we have to hire a Kansas guy? That, to me, is going to be fascinating.
So the thing about that, though, is I wonder if because it's just matching like the expectation levels. Does Kansas? I don't know. You could ask Ben. I don't know if he left or he's still in here, but like, does Kansas fan want to move in a different direction, or do they feel like they've plateaued, not even peaked, plateaued?
That's interesting, because I was looking at Bill Self earlier, and I think he's made it to big stages less than we remember, because he's got the 2 national titles, but he's been there for 23 years.
God, has it been that long?
I think, right? He's 2005. It's right after it was right before.
Yeah.
No, it's longer than that. It's 2003. Because it was right when Roy Williams left for Kansas. It was right before Illinois had that good run. It was his class that ended up getting coached by, was it Bruce Pearl? Yeah. Not Bruce Pearl, Bruce Weber. There we go. A different squeaky voice guy.
BP says he thinks he's figuring it out. I mean, I trust his opinion.
On Ben's?
Yeah, because he's not real willy-nilly, right? He's not like full-on lack objectivity homer.
How many? Go ahead.
Is it the landing of Peter? Like, what do you mean figuring it out?
For what Bill Self's doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that context is.
And Dickinson wasn't the only bad one. What's his buckets from Wisconsin?
Oh, AJ Storr. Didn't he spend a minute at Kansas? Am I misremembering that?
I pull that up real quick?
I thought AJ Storr spent a minute at Kansas. I might be wrong.
Who am I thinking of along with Hunter Dickinson? Where I was like, ooh.
Yeah, where you just saw him and you're like, that's not going to work.
Okay.
Yeah, he did spend a minute.
Yeah, it was Storr, and it didn't work.
No, because
okay. So to your point, BP, like figuring out the transfer portal. Can we land the plane that this thing is still about roster construction?
Yes, I think so.
Like
I think that's fair.
It's not, and that's what sometimes we think, get the best player or most expensive or whatever. Like it's got to fit.
Mm-hmm.
And what I think we saw all the graphics, front office sports, this, that, and the other, all the rosters that spent a ton of money and it didn't work.
Got nothing for it, basically.
Like it's just fit. Like at what point did you like Kentucky's roster?
Never. But I thought Mark Pope was a bad hire, so I don't,
Can we have the conversation independently of that, though?
Sure. Yeah, it was not a very good
How
roster.
are you here? Come here, man. Come here. Get in here. You come here. You come here, sir. I have some questions. Can I borrow your headsets real quick? Come here. As we welcome in the executive director of the Jet Awards, I need some instruction and I need you to talk. Okay.
Why are you standing and Ravi sitting?
Does that make you uncomfortable?
Well, he's got to look up at you, strained neck. When he's 91 and he's got a bad neck, he'll look back to this year when he was looking up at you the whole time.
Well, here's the thing,
Isn't
though.
that an issue?
Remember how high I like my chair at the other place?
Yeah, but we were still even because I raised my chair.
Oh, I got questions real quick.
All right, what do you got?
Number one, thank you for bringing the
Sit
script.
with Ravi. There we go. Hey.
Still mean to me. That hasn't changed.
I'm just saying.
Hey, I have a couple quick questions.
Okay.
1 o'clock rehearsal?
Yes, 1 o'clock rehearsal.
I'll have time to go home. Same as usual. Shower, change.
Yep, we'll be done in an hour and a half. And then you don't have to be back till 5.
Hour and a half?
To rehearse the whole thing? Yeah, we got to go. Remember last year when we had some issues and then I had to get like completely berated?
He's going to make me read this whole script.
Well, you're not reading the whole script because you don't have the whole thing. But we are going to go through each of the videos to make sure they all work.
Okay.
Because last year we had some issues. I then got berated at a board meeting by some people. My wife now wants to kill those people. So we want to avoid all that. And we're just going to go and through it.
Is his table close to ours? Do you remember?
Table 58.
Hurrdat?
Table 58's Hurrdat. Yeah.
Okay.
58's Hurrdat. The only people there currently, because Sasha hates me, is Ravi, his lovely wife. Is Mike Sauter coming?
Yeah.
Okay, Mike Sauter will be there. And then she gave me 4 people from some other stuff.
Okay.
Who I don't know.
Last thing.
Yep.
Did you change your mind on Mendoza after seeing him in shorts and a t-shirt?
No, I still like him.
Okay.
Well, yeah. So let me ask you this question. I was going to do this next week. So if Mendoza or Cam Ward?
Mendoza.
I mean, we keeping a buck right now. We ask.
Right.
Mendoza.
That's not even close, right?
Yeah.
So he's the number 1 guy last year.
Mm-hmm.
So why wouldn't he be the number 1 guy this year? I don't understand.
I understand that.
Right.
But do you like what the Raiders are doing? They got better on the defensive side of the ball. They got a nice
the best center in sport. Yep. Listen, I would not. If I was the Raiders and I need as much as they would, I would probably take a blockbuster deal. But if there's no blockbuster deal, then I'm going to take a quarterback who I think can be a functional quarterback for why is my vice president of the board calling me right now? So we
Just the worst day ever for you. I know.
Oh my God, it's been since 6 o'clock. These people are like, oh, where are we going? I'm like, I sent an itinerary out. Just follow the itinerary.
So how come my script wasn't attached?
It is attached. I don't know which people are talking about. I can show you where it's attached to your email.
Okay.
All 3 times I've sent it. I don't understand why you guys are telling me that there's no script attached. I have no idea. I have multiple emails that I can go to. But when you look at it, I go.
I
so
like when you talk and
sent, right? We'll go to sent. Look, that's attached.
Open that.
Boop. That's the script. And watch this. Magic. Boom. Script.
Interesting.
Isn't it crazy how that works? Yeah. And I sent it to you now 3 times.
Listen, she's not having
And I sent it once to Sasha, and she goes, it's not there. I'm like, I don't understand. I clicked back on her response. I went back to it, and I clicked it again, and it was still there. I don't understand how it's not attached. You guys are killing me. I think yesterday was April Fool's.
Yeah.
Not the 2nd.
Yeah.
There's no reason to come down on me on April 2nd.
I almost dropped your little partner in crime, Zoe, off at your house.
Oh, you know how much we would love that?
She's so naughty.
You know, we take Wyatt's girls when they go out.
Yeah.
We're their main babysitters.
And they're kind of naughty too, right?
They can be interesting.
Look,
you can come in here. I don't get it.
Now look here, sir.
That argument, bro. It's like you two work
Go to
together
the bottom.
again.
Keep going. That's it. Look, so let me show you. There it is right there. There's the forwarded thing, and then there's the script.
There is no attachment.
Look, there's the script.
Forwarded.
I sent it to Damon. I
understand that.
And Tim Clark, Patrick Allison. Look, it's right. But Damon's got it, right?
Yeah.
And then Damon forwarded you this one, and he forwarded you this one, right?
No.
And should have been attached to it. And I sent you a separate attachment away from his. But there it is. And let me show you Damon. Look. Damon, number 21 in our program, number 1 in our hearts. I sent it to both Damon Gmail and I sent it to your Hurrdat.
Well, it's not in there.
I don't understand why he didn't. I don't get what he did. That's his fault.
All right.
Okay. So yeah, that's the way that works. But I sent it to everybody, and you're the only one it didn't open for or didn't have.
I'm special.
Which is you make a great point. Make a great point.
Oh, it's fine.
If there's nothing else I'll ever forget, okay, I'll never forget this. The conversation we had about the word celery, I didn't know until I was 35 that it was 3 syllables. In the South, we say celery. I've never heard celery until much later when Damon told me during the College World Series. And then he starts going off on the great Tom Osborne, because Tom Osborne used a specific word that I was telling him is not a word you speak.
Irregardless.
That's not a word that you speak. It's regardless. Those 2 things I'll never forget. Celery and regardless. Irregardless.
Irregardless.
Yeah, I'll never forget
Whoa.
that.
Right,
He's exactly as a woo.
I'll see you tonight.
All right, you guys take it easy.
Right.
See you tonight.
And I'll see you this afternoon.
You know, I always call her Natasha. I told you that before. I've called her. I wrote Natasha too.
That's
and I'm
her
like,
name.
that's not. Isn't it Natalia? Okay, I put Natalia.
He was throwing me for a loop.
Instead of Natasha. That's what it's a Russian spy.
Yeah.
I don't know which Russian spy it is. One of those 2 Russian spies.
She's
Natalia
definitely capable of killing too.
Killing.
So
I know.
I've
I've heard that before. And it wouldn't take much. All she got to do like keep slipping a little sugar in his food, and it'd be on, right? Wow.
All right. See you later. Yeah, it's price of admission. This is very unstructured.
Yeah, I'm actually the person I'm least concerned about my wife killing.
Oh, nice for you.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's one of those, I don't know if you saw this. We talked about the quadruple amputee.
I'm glad Sash doubled down because he makes it seem like, and I'm dumb, there's no question, but
I wouldn't say dumb. I'd say you have some challenges with technology from time to time.
But
although we got you in Discord, we did get you in Discord.
Yeah, how about that? That thing is like a group text. That's all it is.
It is. Yeah, it's just a group text without having to give people your number, basically.
Yeah, Dank is certifiable.
He's active. We like active.
He's crazy, but so is KJ.
Oh yeah, for sure. I just no. If we talked about the quad amputee cornhole murder thing a while back. So his ex-girlfriend, who apparently also dated the person that got murdered, which, like, of course, she's like, yeah, no, I could see that. When asked about him potentially killing somebody,
that's
it's a bad.
Kind of scary.
It's a bad sign. Also, I would 100% like if something ever happened to me and Natasha went on a killing spree, that would not surprise me at all. Like if somebody harmed me in some way,
concerning.
No, it's fine. I'm safe. If somebody harmed me or one of the dogs in some way, she would go John Wick on someone so fast. And I'd be like, yeah, I've seen that coming.
So a couple things got buried. This is a quick subject change, but this is just what we do. Sasha, I appreciate you coming to my defense because he basically called me stupid. And, he's not afraid to call me stupid. He's like, what, are you dumb? I was like, no. But anyway. Todd, is that final?
What?
Is Cousins like? Do we have a deal? Not the room. Do we have a deal? Is Kirk Cousins in Las Vegas?
Oh,
that's what I want to know.
That's interesting.
I haven't seen it.
I haven't either.
I typically trust Todd.
I tend to stay fairly up to date.
I know, right?
I'll double check.
No,
here.
Rob, see, I didn't bring up serial killers. I did not.
You kind of did because you said Natasha and Natalia, and you go, yeah, she certainly would be capable of killing someone. So you did bring up murder first.
Yeah, I did. I asked I asked Coach Williams for new gloves too, because getting that, I need more rubber gloves. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Just working through those a lot, huh?
Well, I cook. It's because I cook.
Oh, okay. Sure. So did Walter White.
Wow. I've never seen that though.
Well, when you make meth, they call it cooking. So.
No, I've never seen the I've never seen the show.
Yeah.
Is it? What are we doing with Kirk Cousins? Anything?
6 minutes ago, but it's from not a good source. Well, they got 350,000 followers.
So Emmett, who's a football head, I kind of rock. Emmett, I like you. It's kind of weird for me to say out loud, but I like your contributions.
The first one I saw is from Clutch Points, which I've never heard of them.
He said Shefty reported it about 10 minutes ago.
Okay.
All right. Everybody's on it now. ESPN said he signed with the Raiders. Shane, are you happy about that? Can they bring... I don't know if you guys heard this, but everybody's gushing over the guy throwing in shorts yesterday to receivers that he's known like the back of his hand.
Yeah, nothing impresses me less than a quarterback being good at pro day.
That it?
Why?
Because you got Zach Wilson vibes?
No, it's how many times have we seen it where it's just, yeah, they look great. Of course they look great. This entire thing is 100% scripted for them to be successful.
I'm just curious why they would make that move.
It's receivers that they have chemistry and context with, and they've practiced all these things 1,000 times. Like it is the only thing that you can take away from that is if they fail the test. Most of these things at the combine are just idiot-proof tests.
I don't think that means they're out on Mendoza, but why?
No, maybe they want a mentor. I mean,
you don't have a mentor for a guy that you think is a day one.
Maybe they don't.
Maybe the day one is later in the season.
Well, that wouldn't make him a day one anymore, Shane.
But I'm saying the guy that Damon says is the day one.
You know what he meant.
You know what I meant.
I did know what he meant. If you're
I did, Shane. I give you grace because you're slow.
But that was one of the talking points. That's been one of the talking points since the college football playoffs. If the Raiders got him, would they? Typically you would sit a guy like that for like a half season, kind of let him get some game, get some time under his belt.
I'm mad I just didn't take Chuck's word for it. Or Todd's word for it.
Not really, though. I mean, how many starts does Mendoza have? He's north of
less
25, isn't he?
Maybe right at.
He's at 36 games. I don't know how many starts that is. He's at least 27 starts.
Okay. All right.
That's a guy, like, especially now. I know the number used to be 30, but especially now, like, if you got 2 full seasons of starting, you're expected to go.
I got to see the deal that they got for, like,
what
picture? What
much,
picture
right?
is this? Oh, is that Kirk? You like that, huh?
Yeah, that's one of his Washington plane photos, I believe.
Yeah, he's crazy. Cousins was nuts. How about those guys getting? That's a nice little PJ they've got.
Yeah, I don't think we've got numbers.
Shane,
yet.
What if they moved off the pick? I'm not saying they will. What if the Raiders moved off the pick? You want 3 number ones?
I wouldn't move off the pick.
Okay. Are you getting 3 number ones for Mendoza?
You'd get 2 1s and a 2 for sure. For sure.
What's the draft order here?
I don't know. I just know the Dolphins have 227 picks. They're going to pick every other pick.
They just signed Malik Willis. So what are they going to do?
The Dolphins are not in bet. The Dolphins, I mean, this is going to sound stupid because of all the dead cap money, but I can at least see what they're trying to do.
Yeah, they're going to pay $115 million for people.
I mean, you're going to have one bad year and be positioned.
I mean,
the NFL allows you to do that.
You will probably have multiple bad years, but you'll only have the one bad dead cap year, and then it'll be like 2 full rebuilding years probably. They're not going to be able to flip it in 2 years with the year they're going to have next year because they'll have.
I think you can.
Okay.
I think you can flip it in 2 years.
So who's trading up? Is it the Jets and Cardinals are 2 and 3? I could see either of those, and both of them need quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Are they willing to? I mean, the Jets probably can't afford to give up multiple picks. I don't know if the Cardinals can either. They're both bad teams. They need more than quarterbacks.
Arizona's hard to get a gauge on because they've been such a poorly run franchise. But I think they made an. I'm not mad at the direction that they're trying to move. Right, you're moving off of.
I mean, you got to start over. I get that.
Yeah.
So you got Cleveland at 6 would be interesting. They like to do stupid things. I don't know if they have any first round picks left after the Deshaun Watson thing.
Yeah.
But they're at 6, and I think they like some of the rest of their roster enough that maybe they would think they're a quarterback away.
Yeah, outside of the roster, outside of the quarterback spot, that roster's pretty good.
It's getting older, but
I mean, because what does Arizona have? They've got Brisket and men can't tie your shoe. Right? They got Jacoby. It's Brissett and Minshew, right?
I think so, yeah. I think he ended up signing there. And the Jets,
you don't have to go get a quarterback this year. You can wait.
That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. Like, are you actually getting that haul if you're the Raiders with I think people think it's a better quarterback draft next year, although we always say that and we never really know.
I think it is, though.
It was supposed to be a good quarterback draft this year, though, too. We were expecting Nussmeier to be good. We were expecting Drew Aller to be good. We were expecting Cade Klubnik to be good. We weren't expecting Fernando Mendoza to be the number 1 overall pick. We were expecting.
You can't keep waiting, though.
I don't know. Dixie may have had to go to work. Does he want the Dolphins to package picks?
We were expecting Lenore Sellers to be in this draft.
And so you get, and those guys will be available next year.
Yes, but again,
Dante Moore.
But there's a bunch of those guys where it's like, okay, they were supposed to be in this draft because we thought they were good. They're not. And now we've got kind of kicking the can down the road. Are they going to be good next year, or are they just not those guys? Right? That's the question where I say it's supposed to be a better quarterback draft next year, but do we really know? If Dante Moore can replicate what he did last year at Oregon, he's probably the number 1 overall pick today.
Yeah.
But this time last year, Nussmeier was the number 1 overall pick, and he's going to go in the 3rd round maybe.
Actually, Klubnik stinks. It's amazing what happened to these quarterbacks this year.
That's what I mean.
And Klubnik really has no excuse because he got a pretty good OC in Riley.
Mm-hmm.
He got to stay with the same outfit. So he's not one of those quarterbacks that had to relocate. And they still wasn't good.
308 Husker says 2 of the straightest edge whites in the league. I see a great clip sponsorship in Mendoza's future. Both going to Vegas. Cousins and Mendoza.
Although Mendoza just casually drops an F-bomb on he pulls a Rico on national television. Suave drops 2 expletives in 2 minutes and says he allegedly only uses 1 a week. I'm like, well, damn, you're out next week too. I'm a little surprised. And hear my heart. Mostly it's because I always held out a little outside hope that we could stopgap with Cousins in Pittsburgh.
Sure. Yeah.
Even though freaking
Is
McCarthy,
he still even that guy, though?
Even though McCarthy.
Is he good enough to be a stopgap guy still? Because he looked pretty bad in Atlanta.
I just don't know. What do you do with Atlanta? That roster was better than they played outside of Bijan Mustard.
I agree. That's what I mean. They
brought Pitts back. They look like they have a plan.
I didn't think it was a bad enough situation for Kirk to look.
They blew their coach out.
Yeah. I mean, Kirk Cousins was in his 2 years in Atlanta. He was, pretty mediocre. It was 18 and 16 for touchdown interceptions 2 years ago when he played 14 games.
Dang, Emmett rocks with the Cowboys. Emmett, were you named after Emmett?
Oh, the Emmett. It's your favorite running back.
And it would probably line up for how old his picture looks.
Yeah.
Not that I'm stalking Emmett. I just, I always want to see what the guys look like that I typically, I kind of would rock with. Not if you looked funny. You couldn't be my friend because,
rude.
Out
of everybody in the room, you pick me? Come on.
It's just you in that room.
Shane's sitting right there.
No, but I'm in the other room. Severe's not in there anymore.
He's fired up today. Every year I look forward to these rehearsals.
Yeah.
that it's like herding cats.
You just like watching them be stressed out.
I just want to do my part and go back home. I'm not a guy
Did
that
you get
when
that
I'm
attachment
working
yet?
I'm not a guy that when I'm did he leave the script with you, Sasha? Because I don't have it. Oh, thank you. I'm not a guy that likes to be. I need a chance to be by myself before I do anything.
Yeah, you like regroup.
Yeah,
collect your thoughts.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, fudge. I'm glad I get some. I'm glad Casey. Like we kind of rebuilt the clock in between doing the countdown.
Yeah,
and when I have to go live, like I.
Are you going to be there for the cocktail hour this year?
Well, I let you guys kind of get started, and then I come at I don't want to drive downtown at 5:30 though.
Oh yeah, it's at the Steelhouse this year.
Yeah.
What time does cocktail hour start?
5.
Yeah, I might get down there early.
Mosey and Coach Mosey and Coach Barthel's in now.
Is Coach Barthel going to be there?
Yeah.
Oh, that's my guy. Gotta go hang out with Coach Barthel.
You're so weird.
Tell him I'm coming to say hi to him.
He wait, what? You got a mic. You could talk to us.
Also,
people think she has a cool voice.
Coach Mosey has to love that I'm like, I think I'm like the biggest cheerleader for his kid in the entire state. Every time running back come up, I was like, Mosey, that's my guy.
And for a grown man, he'll have the best hair.
Yeah.
In the goddamn Steelhouse. Yeah. Go ahead,
What's
Sash.
up, Sash?
Oh, and I was just gonna say I'll be there too.
Oh,
I know
you're gonna leave Robbie hanging.
That's true.
By himself.
You got a wing person?
The rest of the crew.
You know how that turned out for Goose.
Yeah, I didn't want to tell
Spoiler
Samir
alert.
this. Yeah, geez, man. I don't know if Natasha's gonna make it or Natalia, as he likes to call her. So we'll see. She hasn't decided yet. It depends on what she has to make in the morning at work.
He threw me for a loop. He goes, I don't know. I always call her Natasha. And I was like, well, why would you?
What else are you gonna call her?
Natalia.
I mean, you can try something else.
You might catch some hands.
Yeah. Dang, what happened to my jugular? Feels slit. Yeah, she got you.
Am I bleeding? Yeah, pretty bad.
I got to get over the Cousins thing. It shook me.
I don't know. I think it's a weird move. I think I don't know. Like people in the chat keep bringing up guys that have sat, but you bring up Mahomes, that's a 15th pick. You bring up Rodgers, that's a 28th pick. Is that right?
Yeah.
You bring up they brought up somebody else that was
Ken, you are fascinating. What do you like? Are you surprised that I'm very patient with Ken, even though he's usually yelling at me over my?
No, that's what I'm used to by now.
I'm curious, Ken. What do you like to do? Do you have any hobbies? Ken doesn't want to get in the Discord.
That's fine.
Chuck, he says DB downtown traffic isn't as bad as you think. So I dropped Mike off at the airport, and I came back through 10th Street to go to my barber, which is on Harney.
Mm-hmm.
The lanes are made up with the whole streetcar. The lanes are made up. They're
it's insane.
They're like wavy within the dotted lines.
Yeah,
what do you mean it's not as bad as I think?
Just doing what we're doing.
It is bad.
Yeah, it's not great.
I just did a recording for Let It Fly. It was horrible.
I went down Tuesday. What day was the Creighton, Nebraska game? Tuesday?
Yeah.
So I went down Tuesday, and if there is any sort of traffic incident, you're cooked.
Yeah.
Like you're just done.
Being so close to Q, there are days I'll take Q as far
Just
south
all the
as
way down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or as far east, just all the way down.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could do that with Dodge, but
because I don't know what it is about the mythical stoppage and blockage between 80 and from 84th to 42nd.
Yeah.
It's like this mythical.
It's because there's like 2 curves that people break around that they don't have to. It's the thing I get mad about all the time.
I'm like, why is it? Yesterday was really bad because I can see it over the, when I go ILQ over, like if I want to go anywhere else, and I can look over my right shoulder and see the interstate. I was like,
Haas, where are you at? Where's your traffic?
I don't know.
Wyatt says I work at 19th and Hardy. Every day is different. Yeah, it is. Every day is different. Like,
oh, so Wyatt, how bad is it in front of the courthouse?
Oh, it's rough.
Because I used to work on 20th and Hardy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I worked in the Exchange building.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Wyatt, does the venue have good food? Oh, I always wonder.
Which venue?
It's called the venue. It's the little corner bar attached to Exchange building.
Gotcha. I haven't been there.
Neither. I have decompression is the key to sanity.
I thought that was the key to eliminating back pain, decompression.
That's why I laid on the floor yesterday.
I don't think that's what it was.
Might have been something different.
Might have been. Yes, Omaha is easy peasy compared to LA. Yes, we understand that, Alex. We get it.
Ode train.
It's easy compared to Houston. It's easy compared to Atlanta. It's easy compared to LA. I get it. We understand.
God, Cousins. Am I missing anything else?
I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know. I think
every day I'm perusing to see if the Steelers have a quarterback.
They don't,
because they had a good offseason. But I need a signal caller.
Yeah, having anybody to take snaps would be ideal.
And I'm gonna have to count on a guy that said his coach checked out on him, and last year McCarthy's tenure, he had to call his own plays.
Do you?
I'm not encouraged by that.
Do you just want to ride with Will Howard?
No, but Micah wants me to because he likes Will Howard.
I like him as a backup, maybe.
I know.
I don't think the
Emmett. So did you ever answer me? Is Emmett Smith like? Is that where it came from?
The name of origin?
Yeah, I'm just curious.
Wyatt asked, "Do you mean the verdict?"
Yeah, that too. It was one of those V words.
There's a lot of V words, man.
Verdict, Venetian, velour. Yeah, that place.
Who's wearing the velour again? Who was that? Was that Rico?
Yeah.
Velvet.
So velvet. Is it any good?
Velour.
We said I haven't been in there in years, but it's been kind of redone, Wyatt. And you're a foodie.
I always thought that was more of like a bar.
It is.
Okay, but they have food.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know.
But I wouldn't come voluptuous. No, that's not.
It's a different kind of establishment, Chuck.
Yeah, and good call, Haas. He knows where my mind was. Ken says Velcro. Ken, I want to know your hobbies, man. When you're not,
did. He just said golf. That's the only thing. He said.
Are you good, Ken?
He says he doesn't have time for anything else, so maybe his golf takes a long time.
Dang, I wish I could golf.
He said
I probably could. I'm not good at the whole failure thing.
He said work, home, and golf. Don't have time for anything else. Well, I think the home part is where we are questioning whether you have any more free time or not.
Yeah, do what I do. Vacuum seal. He loves that.
Getting his corn dog game right, you know?
Start yelling at me again in caps. It's all good.
Was that Ken? That was Kel Jam. That wasn't Ken. That was Kel Jam.
No, it was Ken. Yes. Come on, man. I
thought Kel Jam was.
I was like, why is he yelling at me? No, KJ is fine. Although he's a loose cannon in the Discord.
Let's take a.
So, Sash, are you gonna learn me how to do? Like, because everybody posts stuff in clips. Do I use it like Twitter where I just grab it and can insert it?
What?
In the Discord.
Grab and insert what?
Well, you know how they have like pictures and links and stuff like that?
I'll show you.
It works the same?
Yeah. I'll show you how to do it.
Oh, shoot. I might just be pumping out stuff real time from the press box.
Rico says so good at vacuum sealing corn dogs. Still got a decent amount of kids, though.
Yeah, KJ was yelling at me too. That was both of them. Ken was the one that like wouldn't let it go though.
I think it was Kel Jam. Kel Jam was losing his mind.
Yeah, and he's I rock with him.
We got Brian.
I'm getting a better glimpse of his personality in the Discord though.
Yeah, you get a little bit more interaction with people.
But it's about like I think.
We got Brian Edwards from Major Wager coming up next. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. It's Hurrdat Sports Live.
Yeah, we've played that game before. I mean, we played it several times this year where we get the big lead and, let them crawl back in it with a big number. And, but Jay Sean's been in that position before. Defensively, we've been in that position before. We had all the confidence that we were going to finish it off. They did that. They threw strikes. I mean, that was pretty much what it boiled down to. I mean, the 5 spot, it just absolutely can't happen because you just don't throw the ball over the plate. I mean, Clark had a 5-pitch inning before and, throw the ball over the plate, see what happens. And, there's absolutely no reason to get sideways like that in that inning. Not good. got a good team. I mean, we feel like we've got a complete team. We play well in all three phases. We play well together. So midweek, weekend, I mean, you show up and play hard and see what happens. And these guys love to win and they love to compete. So, it's another day to do that today.
I mean, I think we've been through some things right this season, and we've worked really, really hard off the court just to build like team morale and just know what path we want to be taking in this last month. And I feel like the last couple weeks of practice have just been the best that we've seen it, and everyone's just really focused. And I think when you have losses in a season, you can either pout about them or you can take it as an opportunity to just grow and learn from it. And I think every single time we step off the court, whether we win or lose, we're really taking those opportunities. And I think we're really excited for these last 8 matches and hopefully to clinch a playoff spot. After you lose 3 or 4, it's kind of a lot mental, right? And so it's what can you work on off the court, and what confidence can you instill in one another, even though it might not show on the match. And so that's just the work that we put both on the court and the practice gym every time we got an opportunity to compete again. And I think we really worked for it. And like I said, the last few weeks of practice have been really great. And so we've seen that translate to the last couple matches.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live. Now, Vegas insider, senior handicapper, and fan of the cold Budweiser bottles, Brian Edwards.
It's got to be touchdown, touchdown, touchdown.
Brian Edwards.
I don't really love it.
Brian Edwards.
Were they using the cream cheese to butter the bagel?
Brian Edwards.
I'm going with the cowgirl.
Here is Brian Edwards.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DBM Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports HQ. We are joined now by Brian Edwards from Major Wager, our Vegas insider. B, what's going on, buddy?
Good morning, fellas. How are we?
I'm just trying to make it, man. Are you worried that no, you're probably feeling better about your Florida Gators basketball situation, right?
Yeah, I'm not really into translating the cryptic social media posts, but Thomas Houck did post something on his Instagram stories deal just with him in a Gator uniform yesterday with no explanation for no reason. So is he teasing the fan base that he might come back?
Isn't it like you just have made the determination sports is what it is and you're just going to rock with it? Because I don't think anybody likes the direction it's moving. It's just like we're already pot committed.
Right? I hear you. I am feeling better, though. I do think that out of Condon, Chinyelu, and Houck, I think we're going to get one or two of them back. And then we'll hit the portal and I think we'll be all right. Hey, did you guys see Byington in a podcast yesterday, what he said about the Nebraska game?
No, what did he say?
Said it's the loudest environment he's ever been in for a basketball game in his life.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, what a compliment to Nebraska's fan base, huh?
Yeah, that thing was raucous, and you see how they rewarded him. They locked him up too. That's a nice little deal he got.
You know, and I was thinking he might be on North Carolina's radar, which I guess he technically could still be, but it sounds like Tyler Tanner is coming. What now?
I think he was a good plan B or C.
Yeah, I mean, now that Tyler Tanner's coming back, I mean, it doesn't sound like he's planning on going anywhere.
Is he coming? I thought Tanner was entering the portal.
Oh, I think that was an April Fool's fake. Was that?
Yeah.
I thought it was a Fugazi yesterday. I could be wrong, though. I could be wrong, Ravi. I thought it was somebody that was like parody.
So Rothstein tweeted it out. That's where I saw it.
I know. I think it was a not Rothstein.
Oh, it's a fake Rothstein account. Okay, my bad.
Unless, I mean, I haven't checked
I think
Rothstein's
you're right.
real one, but I saw what you saw and I clicked it and it was the not Rothstein.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, but there is speculation. If not the portal, then what happens with the NBA too? Like,
Right.
there's plenty of stuff swirling.
Sure. I mean, yeah, I'm not saying he's for sure coming back, but anyhow.
So when you're looking at the kind of the way
He's a stud.
Who, Tanner?
Oh,
yeah,
God.
shoot, I would take him anywhere.
I mean, for what he, and again, there's a lot of the best, not this, or the most underrated. He's definitely in the discussion because he doesn't get
for most underrated.
He doesn't get the national love that
nobody talks about him.
His contemporaries get at all. He's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm pretty sure I told you guys I was in the front row for Florida Vandy because my buddy was Southeastern 16 as a season ticket holder, and I mean, just watch him up that close, man. He's big time for sure.
I don't know, like I get size wise, he's not going to project to the NBA the way that some of these other guys are, but you're going to have a hard time convincing me he's not better than a lot of the guys we're talking about going in the lottery.
You talking about Tanner?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of just like playing the game, like I get that size and athleticism. Like I get what the NBA does with the draft, but if I'm just talking about a guy playing college basketball this year or next year, there's not a ton of them I'm taking over Tanner.
Yeah. You guys know that he had a shot at the buzzer just like the one against Nebraska against A&M that was all in the hole too from beyond half court. Did y'all see that by chance?
No, I didn't.
Oh, he got a steal. Tyler Nickel hit a three to cut a 4-point deficit to 1 with like 1.5 seconds left, and A&M tried to throw the ball like all the way to half court, like on the with 1.5 seconds left. Tanner intercepted it, threw it up, and it went in and out just like the one against Nebraska.
My man's got some bad luck.
Yeah.
That's a nice little pull, B. I'm guessing you were emotionally and fiscally invested in that one.
I sure was.
I want to start right in my wheelhouse. I was begging this line to go to 2. It's already gone from 1 to 1.5. My man Ravi says Michigan has no business being favored. I told him it's probably conference affiliation because the Big Ten is so strong and people honked for Michigan so early in the year. You're not buying it. You're going to take that plus number and you go sprinkle a little on the money line. You like Arizona all the way across? Why
It's
not?
only like even money or plus 105. So, I mean, I'd rather just do 1.5 if they lose by 1. I don't want to be devastated just for that small little piece. I mean, look, man, I think this is a tough cap. I think both teams are awesome. There's not a lot to pick at with either team. I'll just mention Arizona's been an underdog 3 times. They won outright all 3 times, beat Florida in Vegas. Won at UConn, and then without Koa Pete, they won at Houston. And Arizona is 9-0 in games against Ken Palm's top 18. Now Michigan's 8-2 against Ken Palm top 16, but Arizona's won. They beat number 5 Houston twice, number 7 Iowa State twice, number 6 Florida, number 8 Purdue, number 9 UConn, number 12 Bama, number 18 Arkansas. 4 of those wins by double digits. I mean, those are just a couple of numbers. I just give Arizona a slight edge, and I just think Arizona wins a great game.
Hey, what about you gonna make this a dog day all around? You like the best coach left in the dance, and that's Hurley?
And that's the reason why, because I think the eye test tells me slight edge Illinois, but 17-1, both straight up and against the spread in the last 18 tournament games for Dan Hurley. And I will also, I mean, I know you got the old adage, it's tough to beat a team twice in one season, but they did beat Illinois by 13 earlier in the year on a night when Terrace Reed scored 2 points, only played 15 minutes due to foul trouble, and Braylon Mullins was making his career debut. He had missed the first 6 or 7 games with an injury, and he only played 10 minutes and scored 2 points. So they basically got 4 points in 25 combined minutes out of Reed and Mullins, who are 2 of their top 4 or 5. I mean, top 4 players?
Yeah.
I think top 4 players.
My pushback to that would be Wagler only played 13 or 14 minutes in that one. He wasn't Keaton Wagler yet either.
Yep, that's a fair pushback. But I'm just going to take UConn just based on Hurley, man. And I got one little prop that I didn't mention in the DM. 20-plus points for Terrace Reed at FanDuel. That prop for him to have 20-plus points is plus 250. He scored 26, 20, and 31 in 3 of their last 4. So I'm going to go with that prop as well.
Yeah, it's a surprising low number for a team that has found a way to play through the post. The more touches he gets, the better UConn is, and the more it offsets solo ball shot selection.
Right. Well, he played a little better last weekend than he had been playing.
He did.
But not by a lot. I mean, but he was doing absolutely nothing in those last 5 or 6 games.
That's Ravi's favorite player, so I try to cheer for him as much as I can because I like to keep Ravi in a good mood.
DB lies a lot.
Big solo ball guy.
A very fitting name. Got a very fitting name.
Oh, solo ball.
Yeah.
A little me first, huh?
You think his middle name is with?
I think Solo's his middle name. I think it's I Solo Ball.
That reminds me of my man ISO Joe.
How could we? Oh, he is so. You talk about underrated. How can you just not make this about in a game with the line that close? You take the best coach.
Right? I do give Dusty May the edge over Lloyd.
Like UConn.
Is that what we're talking about?
No, UConn.
Oh yeah. Exactly. I'm telling you, the eye test tells me Illinois, but I'm just going with the best coach. And I mean, look, Underwood recruits well and he motivates well, but I mean, this is an X's and O's mismatch, right?
Oh, there's going to be some banging in the paint. Will Illinois match the activity? There's so much movement for UConn offensively. The way the game, everybody's excited about Arizona, Michigan. I get it, but stylistically, UConn and Illinois will be equally as entertaining.
Yes, and UConn's got to feel good about Caravan. I mean, he made that huge 3 with a minute left, but other than that, he gave them basically nothing last week other than a good decision to go back to Mullins. But Caravan been playing great, and I think Caravan will play really good this weekend, but the fact that they get basically nothing from him and beat Duke was wild.
What's Caravan, 23, 24?
Oh, he's old.
He's old, man. He might be older than that. He's got to be I don't know. This is I think guarding in the backcourt, especially with Boswell and kind of what he brings to the table. Again, I get it. Arizona, Michigan, star-studded, but the cat and mouse, because Illinois is so goddamn talented offensively, right? They're gonna stress the heck out of. He's 23.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they're gonna stress the heck out of UConn.
Is this going to be like 83 Final Four when everybody – or no, do you go back that far, Ravi? I know Damon and I do.
I don't.
Okay, it was all about Louisville and Houston.
Yep.
And Dr. Duncanstein and Phi Slamma Jamma, and then Lorenzo Charles and NC State ended up winning. So
it's so funny how guys it wasn't his bounce, I remember. It was the facial hair for Dr. Duncanstein is a fantastic pull, but that's back when you couldn't get to the Final Four if you didn't have 5 good starters. And what we're seeing now is like these guys, there's no real weak links in the bunch for these guys playing. And somehow Michigan, I get it. It's probably popular just to malign their guards, but for what they need, their versatility in the backcourt is actually probably a strength, right? No real singular super skill, but they do a lot of the grimy stuff well.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess Cadeau's going to be fine after yesterday, right?
Yeah. He's listen, shot selection aside, he competes his ass off. He did that in Chapel Hill. I got no problems with that. Yeah. You dabbling with any Big Ten win totals?
I was just mentioning that to you guys because I haven't really. I gotta study the portal additions, etc. And why am I blanking who Nebraska's quarterback's going to be? Tell me.
Anthony Calandria from UNLV.
Oh, right. Yeah, not bad. He did well under Mullen.
So
how do y'all feel about him?
I like so far. I mean, I like the intangibles more or as much as the tangibles, right? I get the athleticism and playmaking. I think gutty leadership in nut cutting time will be a nice little shot in the arm where you can kind of look to your quarterback and be like, this guy can make a play. That's a lot of it for me with this team's mental makeup, but heavy juice. -1, what? You said 54?
54 for Nebraska on the win total of 6.5.
Yeah. Why not just
under 154 over plus 126 and 150 to 1 to win the Big Ten? I got to study your schedule. I was just throwing that out at you guys, but
if there's that much juice on the under though, why don't they just move it?
They don't like whole numbers.
Well, sometimes that does happen. I mean, obviously we got a long way to go.
I mean, how much you going to be willing to pay to bet the under? They're just going to keep making you pay it.
Right. Yeah, no, I got to look at that schedule.
It's just ask our fan base. It's daunting, pretty doom and gloomy. I don't know if you've seen our November, but it's worth not showing up for the season. I shouldn't be that.
Just pack it in.
It is.
Pulling it up now.
It's oh yeah, you're going to be like, huh?
Come on, here we go. All right. I see. Man, pretty good chance at a 5-0 start.
Yeah, everybody's worried about November like normal. Like
okay, here we go.
That's typically kind of where the issues are. We've seen some fast starts.
Sure. Oh wow, Indiana and Oregon in back-to-back weeks. That's before we get to November. Then we got Ohio State. Then we got Iowa City. Trip to Champaign.
So I'll be curious to see, and we have the summer. I'll be curious to see where you come out on Illinois. I'm already starting to ask the questions just because I'm studying all the teams on Nebraska's schedule. I feel like we're not going to know a ton about Illinois.
Yeah, I don't know that we're going to get a lot of answers.
Well, I see 6 wins, guys. I mean, if you can beat Washington at home, there's the over.
Yeah. But people are terrified of Washington because I was last year. But I don't know. I'm not. I felt better about Washington last year than I do this year. Dynamic quarterback.
I see you guys easily winning 6, and then Washington 7, and then you got a chance for upsets everywhere else. I mean, assuming you survive a trip to Piscataway, but I would think you would.
I don't know. A couple of really good players at Rutgers, especially outside the numbers. But I mean, we're not really afforded the luxury. Basketball, it was fun and cool to like
fast forward.
We're terrified in football. We just don't do that with the schedule.
Right.
Yeah. It's what do you call it?
Pee-pee tucking.
No, the T word.
Traumatized?
Yeah.
How traumatized were you guys by the Iowa game last week? I mean, I have to admit, it was St. John's and Duke that was going on at the same time, right? I was mostly watching Duke St. John's, had you guys over to the left, and y'all were winning the whole game. And then all of a sudden I look over and all of a sudden you're down. And I was like, what the heck happened?
Yeah, it's not wasn't good.
We're not talking about this yet. I got over the Gator loss like late Tuesday or early Wednesday.
Yeah, how bad was that? How bad was the bender that night?
The Sunday night one?
Yeah,
it was bad.
Yeah, how many? Over under 9.5?
Oh man, I started on the beach at like 2:00 that day. It was all overs.
Didn't you have to? You said you changed locations, right? Because you were
at halftime. I moved locations because things weren't going well. And I thought I made it. Actually, I'll take that. It was at the under 16 timeout. I think it was the under 16 timeout of the second half. And I thought I was a stroke of genius when we started rallying. But getting out of bed that money was so hard for so many different reasons. Well, I mean, A, I knew I felt like ass, and then B, all I'm going to do is go to the computer and read, think, and talk about the NCAA tournament, and I had no stomach for it. It was
Pete,
right,
we
buddy.
appreciate the time as always. Glad you're on the mend a little bit now after that, and we'll let you know. Maybe we'll be ready to talk about Nebraska, Iowa next week. We'll do.
all right, guys.
We'll see. Appreciate it, Pete.
Thanks, B.
Brian Edwards, our Vegas insider from Major Wager. Coming up next, Michael Bruntz, Husker 24/7. That's DBM Ravi Lulla. It's Hurrdat Sports Live.
Yeah, sure. Anywhere you go, whether it's Miami, Florida, whether it's South Carolina, Clemson, whether it's Nebraska, Creighton, when you have rivalry schools that are both good in that given sport, I think it makes it more fun for everybody. I told our guys pregame today, I wanted them to treat it like WBC Nebraska. That's how we wanted to approach it, because at the end of the day, they want to win the Big Ten. At the end of the day, we want to win the Big East. But these are fun games to play for the coaches, for the players, for the alumni, for the fans, for the media. We just wanted to treat it like that. The WBC was as fun a baseball as any of us have watched in a long time, and that's the attitude I wanted our guys to take tonight. Knowing that win or lose tonight, we're getting on a plane tomorrow morning to head to start the Big East Conference.
Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DBM Ravi Lulla. We're brought to you by Next Gen Mail Medical. We are joined now by Michael Bruntz from Husker 24/7. Bruntz, what's going on?
Not much. How you guys doing?
You're a little early, man. You navigating the old drop off?
Yep. Drop off duty today. Did a little grocery shopping already. We're getting through the list early and going here.
Whoa!
Look at you, Mr. Productive.
Yeah.
So when you say that, Bruntz, are we spending over or under $80?
Can you get out of a grocery store nowadays if we're under $80? Like,
well, it just gives me a good frame of reference.
Yeah. I usually go big one time a week and then fill in with other things, I guess. This is probably the best way to put my strategy.
So is it advantageous, Bruntz, fiscally to not be a big protein? Do you see the difference in do you look over across the aisle and be like, going glad I'm not over there.
Yeah, I guess there's a benefit to it. I don't know. It probably all evens out in the end, I would guess. I don't think there's. Yeah, I would guess so.
Are you a milk guy?
No, not really. Not really big on the milk.
Are you an eggs guy?
Yes, I will. I'm down with the eggs.
Okay. What else? Cheese?
Not really.
Jeez.
Oof, that's tough.
Okay. It can't be the same. Okay, because you don't buy anything.
Vegetables ain't cheap, Damon.
I got some fresh cilantro.
Whoa.
So I do think my English cucumber was like $3.99. I thought that was
it on sale?
Pretty. I thought that was high.
Oh, yeah, maybe so. Was because it was English?
I don't know.
It's not Persian.
It's the it's the kind that that shreds best when you make homemade tzatziki sauce.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Zoe can eat she likes cucumbers.
Okay. Yeah, that's
a tomato game. I'm a vine tomato guy because they're a little firm and they're easy for me to slice thin. What's your go-to tomato?
We grow the cherry ones in the summer, so just pop them in there.
What else? I got a couple more questions on this whole grocery experience. So, what is the bulk of is it the veggies?
A lot of it, yeah.
Would you buy bagged potatoes or do you pick out good ones?
I go bagged. Here's where it gets me. Coffee gets me. That's where.
Oh, you buy the fancy coffee, don't you?
Well, it's all fancy now. It's
a huge section.
I mean, they still sell like the Folgers. Like you could go cheap if you wanted to.
I'll spend a little cash on some decent coffee.
Okay.
I think that's where I'm willing to splurge.
Okay, so your coffee is my cheese.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. That correlates.
Yeah, I think it is virtually impossible to go cheese like low budget plain label on cheese.
You don't like the big block? You don't go with a big block of cheese?
I do if I'm shredding.
Okay.
So there's a place for it.
There's definitely a place for. I don't really buy prepackaged shredded cheese. I almost shred all the cheese for anything that melts.
Nice.
I'm not a big prepackaged. It doesn't melt the same.
He'll go to special stores to get exotic cheeses.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's definitely that's
What kind of grater system are you working with? You got like one of those big stand-up ones?
Yeah, unfortunately. I need to invest in the one that you like rotate and it shreds, especially as much cheese as we shred. But I'm traditional stand-up. Pray I don't get my fingertip knuckles guy.
Yeah, I stop grating when there's about that much left. I'm not trying to lose a finger on that.
Again, the gamification kicks in, and I say to myself, how close can I get without having to chunk this cheese?
You got to get you one of those with like how they kind of got the handle on it.
Yeah,
it's like the Jack in the Box setup. You got to get one of those.
That's the one. I almost bought one off the TikTok shop. And then I backed out of it because I wanted to be able to see it first, but I'm definitely that might be my next kitchen purchase. I have to buy some more vacuum sealing bags first. Then I'll splurge on the old grater.
There you go.
All right. I want to start. I feel like we text too much. So this isn't like, well, nobody can hear our text. So we'll start with baseball. We'll start with baseball.
Okay.
I told Ravi the other day, I hope that's kind of the way the series goes, right? Where it's really competitive. It's good baseball. Something crazy always happens in that series anyway. This time, Nebraska came out on the good side. I know we don't want the stress in the middle, but is that kind of how you want those midweek games to go to keep Nebraska sharp?
Yeah, I mean, I think you look around college baseball, and I don't know that there's Like, is there a good way? Like, I don't think style points really matter in midweeks anymore. Like, is that fair?
Yeah. Well,
like
you look at all the upsets.
You look at what happened. I mean, Oregon loses to Portland. Oregon State gets absolutely waxed by Washington. Arkansas loses what was it, 15-14 or 16-14, something like that. Like,
LSU's had their struggles.
Like, however you get across the finish line, as long as the car is drivable, I think you feel okay about it. And I think, obviously with the way that game unfolded, you don't like to see the walks from Clark and Bender. That I think Will was pretty peeved about those post game. But you took advantage of the opportunities. Guy loses a ball in the lights. You get the run in. That ended up being a pretty big run in the scheme of things. And, that's just sometimes what you have to do in midweeks. And, winning those types of games, whether they're, ugly or whatever, those are the games that are going to help you a ton when you get to May. So I don't, you can quibble about it, but at the same time, I think sometimes you just take the win, you move on, and hope that it looks a little bit better the next time you play. So, for Nebraska, though, I mean, in that game, I think the thing about this year's team, they've had to win a variety of different ways. I mean, they've run ruled teams, they've won one-run games. I know Creighton had played a ton of those types of games this year already, but Nebraska has too. And I think you saw. What you saw, I think, was a really big opportunity for Jayhawks Unger, and you saw a guy that looked really, really comfortable in a pretty tight situation there.
How'd you feel about? I mean, how about that Jeter Worthley kind of forcing the issue on that short pop up and tagging up and kind of making a play there? That was a pretty aggressive. That was a pretty aggressive move on his part. Is that? I mean, when people talk about bolt ball and being aggressive, and is that kind of what you want to see?
Yeah, I mean, it was a big balls send in the situation. Worthley's obviously one of Nebraska's better runners, and I don't know. I mean, I think the speed, or at least the threat of it there, kind of forced a quick tag. And I think that was one reason why the catcher wasn't able to hang on to it. So, but no, I mean, I think it's that aggression. I think it's confidence. I think especially Worthley this year, over the last, I'd say 3 weeks to a month, he looks like a completely different player. Like, he's playing with a lot of confidence right now. I mean, we've talked about, what the scouts think of what his long-term potential is. And even at the plate, the balls that were, chopped to third base, and, the ground balls are starting to be line drives, and he's hitting for doubles, and really looking pretty comfortable at the top of the lineup, or in the 2-hole. And that's been a nice development, because, he's going to be really key. And, both him and Grigo, neither of them look really, awed by the moment. And I was curious how both of them would kind of fare in that game the first time around, because there's definitely the rivalry runs hot in basketball. Like, I think it's a lot more the fans a little bit too, but for baseball players at Nebraska and Creighton, like, these guys grew up playing against each other. They played with each other. They know each other. And I think that sometimes adds a little bit of fuel to it. And I'm always curious how the local guys will play right away in that rivalry. And I thought both of those guys played extremely well for their first time out.
So we're kind of going through this deal in Nebraska with midweeks and trying to get ready for weekend series. They got a couple biggies coming up. You definitely don't want to stub your toe, with a Penn State thing or anything like that. And you do want to stay in the moment. But as you're watching this offense play, and they can tinker with the lineup, they can situationally get you. Do you think they have to settle in on anything in particular, or do you like their ability to kind of piecemeal and mix and match as they see fit, even at this stage in the season?
Yeah, I don't know the mixing and matching is like by choice. You know what I mean? Like, Overbeek was kind of going through it for a couple weeks. They took him out of the lineup. Rhett Stokes was hitting over 400 in his place and playing some second base too. I still continue to wonder, if when Will Jeske comes back fully healthy, where does he slot into left field? I think some of that's just been based, more performance based too. And they can get a little bit more situational at the designated hitter spot because you've got Butenbach who bats from the left side. You've got Kitchens who hits from the right. And they can do that a little bit. But, for a little while, they were kind of up against it with some injuries and some things that were nagging a little bit. And you kind of had to get into the depth a bit. So I think they're settling a little bit on some things. I also think that they're at least willing to, if guys are swinging the bat well in batting practice, they'll ride with them for a little bit. Like Butenbach had that home run against Michigan, and I texted somebody and kind of joked. I'm like, well, that'll buy him a week in the lineup, just because it was a good at bat. He'd been kind of stringing them together pretty well.
Just missed one the other night. That's out in any other ballpark.
I don't know how that didn't get out, especially when you saw that last ball that North hit to end the game. So, but yeah, I mean, I think they'll settle a little bit, but I also think with the depth and the guys that they have, and wanting to get some of those guys at bats, I think they're comfortable keeping things a little bit fluid too.
As you look towards the next portion of Nebraska's schedule, obviously Penn State this weekend, and then Kansas next midweek, and then the big one at Oregon the following weekend. Have you allowed yourself like a macro view at all to kind of say, hey, Nebraska's off to this start where we can begin to try and play this out of what needs to happen for them to reach their goal of hosting a regional?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I think, with the two big series that are still left, at Oregon, you've got USC at home. Those are two biggies, and those are really key RPI games. You got to go get at least one at Oregon. You'd love to win that series. You've got to win the series at home against USC, and if you're able to take care of business in those two, that sets you up really well. For getting into May, where it's going to be a lot of kind of the middle pack of the Big Ten is what's going to be left on the schedule. So those are the ones that I would say that's probably, you want to win both of them. You definitely want to get one on the road at Oregon, though. I mean, like that's the minimum there. So I looked yesterday. I think Nebraska was 24 in the RPI, and you still have one against K-State that'll help you. Kansas is still going to be a helping series RPI wise. So there's still opportunities out there. And then, the other thing too, with the way the schedule is in the they've affected the Big Ten tournament, you're going to get at least one like RPI type game there as well to help you out. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's set up well for Nebraska. And, for years we've said, what's the recipe if you want to potentially host? You schedule difficult right out of the gates. You win a few of those. You take care of the midweeks and just stack up wins. And so far, this team has kind of followed that to a T. So it's all there in front of them.
I want to fast forward, BRUNTZ, as you had a great seat in the house, and I hope Mike Babcock doesn't think I'm crazy. He's probably like, every week, you guys, come on. Like, I'm just trying to sit here and enjoy my peace. But as you're kind of getting ready to formulate some opinions on this thing, do you like the fact that there were no, well, I won't say no in case you had one, but not a ton of like glaring like hot takes or anything that you felt like you were going to have to deal with? It seemed kind of like the spring, right? Like just pretty vanilla.
Yeah, no, it was, you saw a little bit, you got just a taste of it. I thought for the most part, it was fairly back and forth. I mean, the run game looked pretty good. And is that the run game? Is that the defense? I mean, that's always kind of the age old scrimmage question, but yeah, I mean, I don't I don't think there was a ton that, you felt like you really had to react to from that. And I think that's kind of been the theme of the spring. Like you said, I mean, it's, they were kind of under the radar. They were able to work without too much. I think they also maybe went out of their way a little bit to keep things quiet. Certainly Nebraska basketball helped in that regard as well. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that was, BC said it, I think, pretty well. He said that was the most kind of football-y type spring game that we've had in a while. And, you got to see guys that are going to start for you in the fall and see quite a bit of them, which isn't always the case. So just a little taste, just to kind of, get you through. And yeah, I mean, I didn't leave that game like, just absolutely boiling hot about anything in particular. I mean, it was a fine scrimmage for what it was.
Do you feel like you have any, I mean, I know you kind of mentioned it there, but like, do you feel like you learned anything, whether it's from the game or from the spring in general? I thought some of the comments throughout the spring were interesting. Like, whether it's, football, personality, culture, like, do you feel like you learned much of anything this spring?
Yeah, I think so. I think one thing I learned was it's going to be a little bit of patience with the defensive front. I think that's fair. I think having seen it on Saturday, I like the look of what the starting five is going to be across the offensive line. I didn't have nearly as much concern about the running back stuff going into the spring. And I think the addition of Jamal Rule kind of solidifies that thought. I don't know, like in kind of watching it back the other day, I am eager to see what direction this offense is going to take this year. Like, you saw a little bit of tempo. You saw a little bit of what Anthony Calandria brings to the table in terms of mobility. And, I think it was a good kind of starting spot for where things are. I mean, I think that wide receiver group, even without Hunter, looks pretty good. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that was kind of my takeaway, was that, like, I'm at least intrigued by what direction this offense is going to take. I think there's a little bit more volatility to it than maybe what there's been in the past. And I think that's okay. Like, I'm willing to have a quarterback that's going to take a few risks and try to fit a ball where it maybe shouldn't go, but you get the payoff for it. Maybe a few more big plays if there's a little bit more danger to it. Like, I think that's all okay. So that was kind of one thing I think I learned on Saturday, was that I at least I'm interested in what this offense can be this year.
BRUNTZ, how much of that has to do with the fact you think, with kind of the risk taking and playmaking and kind of how you just phrased it, is how you want them to play as a team anyway, right? Where you just kind of let it hang out.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
overlap there.
Yeah, I think, like, when we're going to talk the schedule to death over the next 6 months, but I mean, if you're going to knock off some of these teams that you're not going to be favored going into the game, you're going to have to play that way a little bit. Like, you're going to have a little bit of swagger. You're going to have to take some chances. You're going to have to try to make big plays that change the course of a game. And, I think when you do that, what it allows you to do is it kind of gives you a little bit more leeway in the old margin for error. Like, you don't have to be quite so perfect if you're able to find some big plays, or, you're able to do that kind of stuff. Yeah, like, there's going to be times when you're going to throw a pick, or you're going to fumble, or you're not going to, nail it every time. But I think that's okay for an offense. And I think it's okay for a team that's going to need to not play desperate, but at least play a little bit hungry, Like, I think that's not a bad thing. And, as long as you're not reckless with it, I think that's okay.
I think because I'm just listening to you say that, and I'm like it's a pretty good moment or opportunity to have fortitude or mental toughness or competitiveness kind of kick in. I like the way you framed it with, if you pit it against some of these games that they're going to have to win, it will boil down to like where your mind is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can't play scared. Like, and that's not necessarily playing scared, but there comes a time in those games where you got to make a play. Like somebody's got to step up and make a big play to win a game like that. And, I think it's okay to stand in there and take your swing. I mean, I think that's fine. And I think they have some playmakers on offense that will allow them to do that. I'm eager to see, what that kind of looks like from a scheme point of view on offense. If it's kind of baked in there a little bit more than what it has been now that you have those types of players. So I don't know. I mean, I think I in kind of listening this spring to what Matt Rule and some of the coaches have said about Calandria and kind of what he's brought to the table. I mean, I think a little bit of that's okay. Like I don't have a problem with that.
Was that you that I told that the hot take player was going to be Quinn Clark, or was that BC?
You might have mentioned him. I mean, I think I think that's probably one of the other big takeaways is he's kind of ready for the prime time, I think.
When you look at that wide receiving core, kind of however close you think it is from the first to, like, let's say the sixth, is it closer or further apart to how you view 1 through 5 with Nebraska in the running back room?
I think within the group, that's a good question. I mean, I think it's a little bit more tightly grouped at the wide receiver spot. Like I feel good about probably 5 guys in that group right now, with another 2 that I could see getting in there as well.
Does how you answered the question jive with how you feel about the running back room before you answered the question?
I feel like there's more depth in the wide receiver group, and I think there's more experience that I could point to, and like you've seen those guys more. I think the top 3 in the running back room, maybe the top 4, are all kind of, I would put them on the same level. I don't know. I mean, I still feel more confident in the top end of the wide receiver room compared to the running back room. But I think that's also because you're talking about, Gilmer's in his 3rd year. Barney's been productive for 2 years. He's in his 3rd year. You've seen enough of Clark, as kind of one of the reserves.
We've seen a lot of Hunter. I mean, we've
seen a lot of Hunter.
What do you think the difference is between Quinn Clark and Mekhi Nelson when you just said what you said?
About 4 inches.
Okay. No, I mean, I get it. If that's you understand my, like.
No, I get it.
Similar stages.
Yeah.
Similar opportunities. But we feel a lot different about Quinn than we do Mekhi.
I don't think that's necessarily true. I don't know who we are. I don't.
The royal we.
I don't know.
I guess I base that, BRUNTZ, on. Well, you're the first person that I think that I've asked the question to that was thoughtful enough to process through. I asked the questions backwards, though.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I don't think
feeling at the running back room versus the wide. Like we process through it backwards to kind of land it. Okay, well, I don't think that's necessarily true. If I would have simply asked you the question, hey, who do you feel better about in terms of their upside, Quinn Clark or Mekhi Nelson? Like it wouldn't have the value.
I don't know. Here's why I think why you think differently. Why I don't know if it's but why they're thought differently of. It's because of what they're being asked to do, and I think when you say Quinn Clark,
good answer.
He's your fourth wide receiver, right? Like he's, that's the role that he's going to start the season in. And you're like, okay, well, this is a guy that's obviously trending upward.
Is he?
But that's for that room. What his role is going to be. For Nelson, he's also on an upward trend. I liked what he showed in the bowl game. I liked the way he's running in practices that we've gotten to see him. But he's probably your co-number one right now, and that's just a different role, I guess, for where he's at in his career than what Clark is at least seemingly going into. So I think that's why. That's kind of how I would parse that out. Like I think pretty well of both of those guys. Like I think I've seen enough from each of them to feel okay about it. I mean, like I said, Nelson's what he showed in the bowl game, I feel okay about that going into this year and what his development can be. So I think that's maybe how I kind of differentiate it in my head is like, okay, you're asking one guy to be the co-number one, another guy, you could get into that main rotation, that group of starters, but it's just a little bit of a different situation at the different positions.
Let me last one on the same similar thing, because Mosey would probably get the same answer, because I assume when you say co, you're thinking Mosey too, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, like, what would be the difference in our optimism of, let's say, Jamal Rule versus a guy like Quinn Clark?
Well, Brule's the new toy. I think that's the difference.
We haven't opened the box yet, so we're excited about it.
Right. You just peeked under the lid. So
very like I always say this, like that, just this segment, just very smart, right? Like the processing. And I only ask you the questions this way, BRUNTZ, because of the way you think.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Got it.
It just gives me, and it's a good example and it's a bad example, because not everybody's going to be that pragmatic. But when you process through it, I understand why the effort and energy levels are directed the way they are with our level of excitement. It just helps, because he and Josh said the same thing at the same time. It's what they're asked to do.
Yeah. So, BRUNTZ, let me ask you this.
Which is how we view the wide receiver room, right?
Yeah. Let me ask you this about some of these guys, and this is the last one thing for me, is so if Quinn Clark were to elevate himself to, let's say, the number 2 wide receiver versus, let's say, Mosey ends up being the number 1, because I think most people think Mekhi Nelson's going to be the number 1 running back. But let's say Mosey ends up being the number 1 running back. Do you think we would view those ascensions differently based on the individual talent or based on the guys they would have had to pass in that room to get to that spot?
It would have to be who he passed. Like I think
we'd be more comfortable with Quinn Clark as the number 2 because we're like, oh, he passed guys that we've seen produce and know they can play.
Yeah, if you're Quinn Clark and you're the number 2, you've passed guys that have been multi-year Power 5 starters. If at the running back spot, that's not the case. It's just I don't know if it's apples to oranges, but I think that's it. I think it would be Clark's would be viewed with a little bit more oomph behind it for that reason. Given the production you'd be passing, and whereas I think with Mosey, yeah, Nelson could be the first guy out, but I think that there's just not as much of a body of work there with who he'd be passing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where I'd come down on it.
Last one, BRUNTZ. I'll get you out of this because you let me start with groceries and then pick your brain. And do all sorts of in-depth surgical things. Who are you cheering for in basketball?
In the Final Four?
Correct. God, even that's thoughtful.
Not UConn.
Again, process of elimination. Hey, BRUNTZ, this is weird. Can we go grocery shopping together?
It's Illinois, right?
Well, I don't know.
I think it's Illinois. I think I'll root for the Vitches, and I thought when they came through Lincoln, that was the best team I saw this year in Lincoln by a good stretch.
That was some half, wasn't it?
Yeah,
they looked indefensible.
Well, and then depending on how they're going to call a game, if Wagler's able to get to the line that much, it's going to get, they've got a chance. So I'll roll with Illinois.
I know you're a very humble person, BRUNTZ, but you are fascinating. You're absolutely fascinating. We're going to grocery shop. And as long as you don't go to like those bougie places, like I'm a little more traditional with my grocery spots. You may hit a couple of spots that I'm like, I don't know, man. I've never grocery shopped in there. I hear a lot about it.
I'm sitting in an Aldi parking lot right now.
Okay. I'm my man. Do you hit the frozen food section?
I was having to hustle through there pretty fast, so I didn't linger much.
The fun thing about Aldi is good luck trying to find the same thing back-to-back weeks.
As you can probably tell, I like a little volatility in my grocery shopping, so I'll take it.
No, that would surprise me as calculated as you are. All right, BRUNTZ, man, you're a treat. We'll talk to you later.
Yep, see you guys.
That is Michael BRUNTZ, Husker 24/7. Without looking, if I gave you who had the most touches in the running back room coming into this year, Mosey, Nelson, or Ives, who would you say?
Ives.
Final answer?
Yes.
It's Mosey.
Really? Well, he played the earliest.
He had 40 touches.
They both played against Cincinnati, but he got the carries and Makai got the window dressing.
26 carries, 14 receptions.
Of just last year or in their career?
So just I think career, but I was just looking at last year.
It seems like Ives has more than 40 carries.
He does not.
Okay.
He's got 26 career carries and 3 receptions, so he's at 29 total. Makai Nelson is at 36 total, and Isaiah Mosey is at 40 total touches.
That's fascinating to hear BRUNTZ process through like levels of excitement.
I just think it's really interesting the way we talk about. It seems like we think Nelson's way more experienced than Mosey. It seems like people think he had a lot more carries than Mosey did.
Yeah.
He had one more carry. Is that right? One more carry?
And the level of and listen, there's no bigger fan of QC than me.
He had one more carry and he had 9 fewer receptions. Six fewer receptions.
Okay. But situationally, compared to what they're going to be asked to do,
that was a good answer by BRUNTZ.
Because it lets me know like the thought process. Like it's not so much comparing. And I was telling this to Josh. It's not comparing 4 guys on the field versus 1 and what we're excited about. It's if in fact he is one of 4 or 5, we're allowing ourselves to really be through the roof on what he's capable of, even though it's exactly what BRUNTZ just walked us through. If he's one of 4 or 5 and he's maybe, and I'm not so sure he's going to be your 4th or 5th.
That's why I asked the question about if he elevates himself.
So I just like to know how people think.
No, I think it's a good answer though, because I think about it in those terms in basketball a lot more than I do in football, where I'm like, oh, like we're talking about the NBA draft a lot, right? And I go, hey, how do you feel about Cam Boozer or whatever? And I go, hey, listen, if he's your second best player, I think you got a chance. But if he's the guy you are expecting to take you to win a title,
that's a good point.
I don't love that, right? He could be Kevin Love. Maybe he gets you to a 4 seed. That's great. You're probably not winning a title that way. But you put Kevin Love on a team with LeBron James and Kyrie Irving, all of a sudden we're having a very different discussion.
Yeah.
And so same thing with Chris Bosh. Chris Bosh is a great example of this. Chris Bosh was never going to be the number one on the best team in the league or a title-winning team. Put Chris Bosh with players,
Bron and Wade.
Yeah, make him 3 instead of 1. All of a sudden, Chris Bosh, that's a great part of a championship team. So I talk about that. I shouldn't say I talk about that a lot with basketball. It's like, hey, that guy can be good, but he can't be this. This is the whole reason I came up with the Lulla stars thing, right? Which guys can be that dude? And it's a lot smaller than we think. That's my closest comparison to what BRUNTZ was talking about of like, hey, we're not asking Quinn Clark, hey, can Quinn Clark be the number 1 receiver on this team? We can be really excited if he's like a 3.
Let me ask you, you may not be able to do this like stats because sometimes defensive stats, snaps are a little harder to find. How many games has Riley Van Poppel played in?
Let's see.
It seems like it's.
I can probably give you games. I don't know if I can give you snaps.
Yeah, I'm not worried snaps. It's probably 15 or 16, or am I high?
You're low on games.
So he played 3 in the red shirt. He played in all 15 last year.
He played
or however 12 last year.
He played 5 in the red shirt because he had the 4 plus the bowl game.
Okay, so that's 20 right there. And then year freshman RVP was.
He was at 11 as a freshman, so he's at 29 he's played in 29 games
in 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now low
because you remember he went backwards.
Yes.
He went from playing and then shirting, which surprised everybody.
Yeah. You went 11, 5, 13 in terms of games.
Do we get excited about things like that, or a 2-year Mubanga, or a 2-year Babalade, or
I think we really
the same as we would maybe a Quinn Clark.
I think we really struggle with line play because you can have Quinn Clark can do. I mean, Malachi Coleman was a really good example of this his true freshman year. We got really excited because he had a couple. Jalen Lloyd is a great example.
That's actually a better one because he did it more often.
Yes. We had a couple plays, handful of plays where we're like, holy crap, look at that guy. But
you know who's kind of like that?
Yeah.
It's kind of how Barney is.
We
cooled on Barney last year.
Although I think Barney's more productive than we give him credit for. So I think Barney's the opposite of what you're talking about because he hasn't had, like, we keep expecting him to have that one tunnel screen like Isaiah Hunter had, where he just takes it to the house and you're like, there it is. Or take a punt back.
But he's starting
whatever.
to do the every down stuff.
But he does the every down stuff better than we give him credit for. Whereas like your Jalen Lloyds, your Malachi Colemans, like they'll do. I mean, we did this with Prince Will. Prince Will had some splashy flash plays, right? But he wasn't doing the every down stuff. But we're like, oh my God, we're losing Prince Will. And listen, I get what the upside is there, and he played well on a really good playoff team. Like I get it. But
although it took 2 years,
yes, it took a minute. Like let's not pretend like it didn't. And also,
how we forget that, don't we?
So that's why I say we struggle with linemen a lot because you don't, especially interior defensive linemen and offensive linemen, you don't get the splash plays. You only get the screw ups, right? Especially with offensive linemen. So when we have to be patient on a guy like RVP, I mean, we do this to everybody. We did this to Ndamukong Suh before he popped the last half of his junior year. Let's not pretend like we didn't. Everybody was like, oh, look at this guy from Oregon. It took him 2 years and then a half a year with Bo before he really pops off. And then we act like
Bo had to sit him down and they had to have a little, I'm privy to
done this with every single good lineman. We said we wrote off Ty Robinson. We wrote off Nash Hutmock. We write off every single defensive or offensive lineman that doesn't pop as soon as we want them to. And guess what? Almost none of them do.
We did it to, remember T-Rob and Norman 2 years ago?
Yes.
We were about out.
Almost all of us. And that was the year that we ended up liking him. Right? Like, we do this to almost every lineman because it takes so much longer. There's like a handful. There's a handful of outliers that pop immediately and are good and just automatically good.
Yeah. But Tater, I actually think it's just the opposite.
There's not that many of them.
He said, why do we think? I kind of think it's the opposite in my sphere.
I think Barney is better at the every down stuff than we give him credit for. We haven't gotten as many.
I think people have cooled on JB, but what
because we haven't gotten as many of the explosive plays as we thought we were going to.
Why I like him though is you need a guy like that against good teams.
I think I still think he is
the consummate competitor. He doesn't get hurt, and when he does, he plays hurt.
I still think he's the toughest guy on the team pound for pound.
He might be. I'm not going to give you a ton of pushback on that.
I've said that for 2 years. I love the way that guy competes. And listen,
you're starting to get – so why I get it – again, why I get excited, if we can shift gears into allowing guys to get older and mature.
It's exciting.
You have multi-year guys in the interior that have a chance to pop. But we pick the skill guys because we can see them, even though historically – if you give interior linemen time, they get better.
100%. They're the one place on the field that is almost impossible to consistently get young players to play
in this conference for sure.
Yes. I mean, like you can go to the Big 12 where it's a little bit easier. Like you can go to other places, but in the Big 10 and the SEC, you see it more with defensive linemen on the edges in the SEC. But in the Big 10 and in the SEC, it is really, really hard to have young players contribute on the lines in a consistent manner that is going to allow you to win games the way you need to.
And I feel dirty because you can't give up time. Like time is now, winning is important now. But I can't help but to think like, man, another year with Corey Brown. This is just what I'm seeing now. With Brown and the coaching of the D-line and Manning, I'm like, oh, God, I know it. We got to get through this year. I can't wait to see Pet Shock next. You know what I mean? Like, I do that.
Yeah.
Just because, but that's the
understand how
that's
long
the player
it takes.
development guy in me, though. But I can't fast forward and say, hey, look, fans, may have to gut 6 or 7 wins, right?
Well, listen,
I'm not doing that.
Well, I'm not gonna let people off the hook here. Let's not pretend, based on what we've heard so far, that 6 or 7 wins wouldn't be a huge victory against this schedule, according to what we've heard.
So you mean everybody taking free money on the under?
Yeah. So and everybody being like, I mean, how many people in our chat have been like 5 wins top next year? 5 wins, 5. We'll be lucky to make a bowl game. How many times in the chat have we said we'll be lucky to make a bowl game? It's been a lot. So if it comes time and it's 6 or 7 next year, don't pretend like you had to get some sugar to get that medicine to go down, because that's what you were begging for. So I'm keeping receipts on that one. I'm not gonna let people off the hook on that one. With Barney, do you think he had more receiving yards as freshman or a sophomore year?
No, Tater, he did play. Tyson Terry did. I'm sorry, Ravi. Terry did play. Terry was a pleasant surprise. I said this on Monday.
Yeah.
And it's not just because I like him.
Yeah.
He hadn't been getting a heavy workload. He had been kind of working his way back.
I'd say he was still recovering from the knee.
Yeah. He didn't even have full pads on in the bowl game. He was in the rehab lifting group.
I mean, okay, so he had
he was actually pretty good.
Sash, when was state wrestling?
Matter of fact, Tater, he had a play against Sledge
about a month ago.
Yeah, it was beginning of February 11th. I feel like started.
So 6 weeks ago was state wrestling. That means Tyson Terry didn't have his knee surgery until
almost 8 months after, I think.
So, we're not talking about a very long time.
I had to go back and I was like, shoot, that's my dude Sledge.
Yeah.
I don't know. I tell you, he was okay, man.
Well, and you like Malcolm Simpson quite a bit too? Yeah.
So Simpson's he's another guy next year.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to say this without sometimes guys, especially along the line, you have to learn to go through rigor.
Yeah. It's hard.
I was saying this to the people in Nebraska. See, there's some days going against this group with what these coaches are asking. There's some dog days, and they're not. Sometimes you're gonna get your teeth kicked in.
So,
when you're learning to take and sit on doubles or get the A gap from playing in a 2, and there's
no breaks, and
you have to be able to endure.
So the only thing
that's a skill.
The only thing I can compare it to, and it's not a great comparison.
And I mean, Brown coaches hard.
because obviously I never played line at any sort of level. But the only thing I can compare it to is every once in a while, because I was strong in college, I would end up getting matched up with like a, this is NAI ball. So it's like a 6'3" or 6'4" power forward that wanted to post me up.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to play that post defense as a guy with a size disadvantage, like the amount of like every single second you have to be pushing, you have to be in position, you have to be fighting that guy constantly. A, it's exhausting, and B, mentally, you just can't take any breaks.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about the rigor of playing line, like that's not a great comparison because it's still way less physical.
Yeah,
but there is just
Stoutmeyer about seeing
no breaks.
Justin Evans every day.
Zero mental breaks.
Like you have to be on.
Yeah.
And then once you're on all the time, and I have this problem, and I'm 30 years removed.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to shut it off.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons I like wrestlers playing line, because they are used to that. If you don't stay focused in wrestling, you lose.
Yeah, you breathe wrong and it's over.
Right?
Yeah.
So having guys, to take the example of a guy like Tyson Terry, I don't generally worry about Tyson Terry being able to endure rigor, because if he couldn't have, you're not a wrestler.
Yeah, go check out Tater. He was wearing 71. Like there was some splashes. All right, and just no volume. Because sometimes I think we equate it to like, rate of speed or how fast. Like, it's a hard game to evaluate on television.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see some of the technical stuff. I was quietly pleased with where he is relative to the amount of reps he's gotten.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had some strong reps. But again, that's a guy that you don't want to have to count on out of the gates.
No.
You would like for that.
You'd like to be able to give him another year.
Yeah.
You'd like to be able to give
He
him
doesn't
another
want to
year.
hear that.
No. You
But-
would love to be able to give him another year.
I mean, it's a big boy league.
Absolutely. Let's take a quick break here. I know we are right on the clock, but we are going to have. Just keep going. Okay. Sasha says we don't have to take a break.
Yeah.
All right.
Sasha got things to do. We got long days.
We do have long days. We'll have Bluejay Breakdown with me and Jacob coming up right after this as Creighton kicks off in the Crown tonight, late night tonight, 9:30. But that works out because then I'll be home from the Jet Awards before then. I'll have time to do the Jet Awards and watch Creighton.
Yeah. And listen, Josh, at least you're honest. Like, we go back and forth all the time. And yeah, we DM, like, I rock with Josh. And he does get frustrated, but he's self-aware.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we can have these conversations. You're totally not alone when he talk about the year 3 thing. Like, he's like, I totally bought into. It's just, I mean, you got plenty of allies in that.
Sure.
And I think,
but at least you can admit it. Like, that's part of the.
And we process why I think that's an interesting. That would be one of the major things.
I bet he'd take back.
No.
You don't think so?
He'd tell you why it didn't happen, though.
Okay. I wonder if he'd verbalize it the way he did, though.
I don't know. I'm not going to say, hey, would you say that again? But like, we could have the conversation
of like why it didn't go that way.
Yeah, and he's super, just really, really honest. And if you are self-aware, you give yourself a chance because you try not to let the same thing happen to you twice, right? They were really intentional. You wanted to cut down turnovers,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you go from -17 or +17 to 2 to 1,
mm-hmm.
right? Then it was, getting to a bowl game. You did that. Then it was, hey, now we made a commitment to want to rebuild through the trenches.
Mm-hmm.
You appear to be doing that. Right, with Whittington and Stoutmeyer and the older guys that you have in the program, and maybe people want you to do more. I don't know. I don't want to speak for create a false narrative out there, but you addressed your D line in terms of a coaching and temperament standpoint. You wanted to improve.
You really stocked up on the O line.
Your pass rushing game.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think people can easily see the O line.
Yeah. I mean, because
you're not going to get a ton of.
We like the guys they brought in.
Yeah. So, Like there's a conscious effort to correct. There's definitely a conscious effort to correct. So now you went and you addressed the second level. Right? You wanted to get a little bigger, a little more physical on the second level. So, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't JK, you don't have to apologize for that. Like that's a lot of it.
I also
the year 3 bump also included the year 2 quarterback staying healthy.
So that's
not an excuse. It's just an explanation.
No, it's what happened. It's not your starting quarterback missed the last third of the season. That's a real thing. Like, let's not.
And that's in spite of what was happening defensively.
Like, let's not pretend. And listen, I don't know. I genuinely believe they beat USC, and then I don't know what happens after that.
Yeah.
But the point is, we can't have these conversations in a genuine way about year 3 bump and what went wrong and whatever if we don't start with the fact that the starting quarterback, the best quarterback on the roster last year, didn't play the last 4 games of the regular season. That's just, you can't get around that. And if you're trying to get around that, I can't really have a conversation with you because you're being disingenuous and you're just looking for reasons to be negative. There are plenty of reasons. If you want to be negative, there's plenty of legitimate reasons to have concern. There just is. There always will be. But you can't come at me with, well, where was the year 3 bump? It's like, okay, well, give me 12 games of Dylan Rail and see where we're at. Like, that's give me 12 games of Dylan Rail and see where we're at. Even with all the other missteps with coaching, hires, and whatever else. Give me 12 full games of Dylan Rail. Let me see where we're at. Then we'll have a real conversation. Because until you're willing to admit that's a huge part of what went wrong at the end of last year, then we can't really have a real conversation. Because let's be honest, it's not like TJ Lateef was healthy either at the end of the year. So you're down to like a banged up second string quarterback, so you don't have to have an NAIA guy take snaps. And that's nothing against Jalen Gramstad, but like that's not the position they wanted him in. So like we're being real disingenuous, and like if we're not talking about that as a real factor, what happened last year, we're being pretty disingenuous.
And then you fast forward to nobody wants to hear, we just got to win.
Which is okay, fine, but then stop talking to me about all these.
I know.
No, I know you're not. But like, if you're talking about, hey, fast forward, like we just got to win, then stop talking to me about all the other details about the things that we're complaining about. Because if I can't complain about the starting quarterback not playing, then you don't get to complain about everything else. I'll make that trade. How about that? Fair?
Oh, he almost got you started where you ended yesterday.
That's the show for today. We've got Bluejay Breakdown with me and Jacob Padilla coming up next as we go through the Greg McDermott swan song.
I hope for you and guys enjoyed a couple of play breakdowns, just a sample of what you're going to get in the Discord, and you get a lot of sidebar chat
on the Patreon. You can sign up. I put it in the chat as well. But the link to sign up, but we'll have those come in. We'll have some more spring game breakdowns, and we'll get into some
things like, why didn't they just cover that guy?
Well, it's a little more complicated than that.
I'll tell you why.
We'll get some Rob Orridge defense breakdowns as well. But that is the show. Stick around for a few minutes. We'll get to Bluejay Breakdown right after this.
Yeah, sure. Anywhere you go, whether it's Miami, Florida, whether it's South Carolina, Clemson, whether it's Nebraska, Creighton, when you have rivalry schools that are both good in that given sport, I think it makes it more fun for everybody. I told our guys pregame today, I wanted them to treat it like WBC, Nebraska. That's how we wanted to approach it, because at the end of the day, they want to win the Big Ten. At the end of the day, we want to win the Big East. But these are fun games to play for the coaches, for the players, for the alumni, for the fans, for the media. We just wanted to treat it like that. The WBC was as fun a baseball as any of us have watched in a long time, and that's the attitude I wanted our guys to take tonight. Knowing that win or lose tonight, we're getting on a plane tomorrow morning to head to start the Big East Conference.
I'm not saying she's a dog again. Oh, I just said it. I did get in trouble for the other thing, by the way, from her. Anyway, sorry. You know, you guys are going to get so sick of me saying this about her. I've been watching her. I mean, I have a picture of her and me when she's 9 years old, and she was a competitor then. And that competitor just keeps growing. And so every time the competition ramps up a little bit, which she's been in a lot of fires this year, she just keeps answering the call, she keeps growing. Like, for instance, I'll give you an example. We have a Tuesday meeting, she and I. You know, how did we grow in the last week? Well, this is game day. She came to me this morning, she goes, we're still in our meeting, right? So we had our meeting. And we talked about, we talk about various things, but that's part of her competitive motor too, because she wants to keep getting better and just talking through things. So tip my hat to her.
Welcome into Bluejay Breakdown. That's Jacob Padilla. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports HQ. It's time to go over a little Creighton postseason basketball, which feels a little strange to say. But Jacob, here we are. How are we doing?
Doing all right. Yeah, it's there's still basketball to be played for Creighton, which again, like you said, is odd. It's
odd in a lot of ways.
Been in a holding pattern because it's literally 3 weeks between their last game in the Big East tournament and their first game in the Crown.
It feels like a bowl game.
But just don't ask Greg McDermott if it feels that way, because he wouldn't know.
It's like, well, I never coached football, but no, it is very odd though. The way the schedule breaks out, the way Creighton season ended, it's very odd in terms of timing. It was kind of almost, not that you forget about it, but there's such a big gap, and obviously they didn't have the season that they wanted. So you're like, oh yeah, they do still have more basketball yet to play. I guess when you're been around this team quite a bit, and obviously around this coaching staff for a long time, like, how do you think they've processed sort of just the awkwardness of the last 3 weeks where it's like, well, season's not over. Let's keep going.
Yeah. Players said they've just gone to work. Then coaches had to figure out, all right, what do we do with these 3 weeks? How exactly do we want to attack it? Because obviously you're not going to just practice 4 times a week for 3 straight weeks at that point. Because
you almost have to run it like a new fall camp all over again.
Basically what they said, I think Josh Dix even said, like, they essentially started off-season workouts at the start of the break, and then on Sunday they got back to really full practices, game planning, that type of stuff. So they had 3 days here in Omaha of the full, all right, we're prepping for Rutgers, we're prepping for this tournament practices. And before that, it was a lot of workouts, a lot of individual stuff, players getting in there with the assistant coaches and getting reps and staying in shape and working on their game, so that when they did hit it
hard that they were still ready to play. So that's kind of how the coaches chose to attack it. Obviously, you had the McDermott announcement and press conference and everything fit into that break. So I mean, it worked out from that standpoint to kind of take care of that business without really disrupting anything they were doing. So now they're out there in Vegas and ready to play as we record this on Thursday.
So let's start this. Let's start with the Greg McDermott of this whole thing, right? Because I mean, regardless of what happens with this tournament, whether they win the whole thing or lose it tonight, Greg McDermott and his final games at Creighton are the bigger story here. Obviously, end of I think it unquestionably the best run of any coach in Creighton basketball history. I don't really think that's up for debate anymore, and I don't think it has been for quite some time. But also sort of the, I guess, preeminent figure in Creighton athletics in general, especially, you know, maybe Coach Booth would have had a claim to that, but she resigned last year. Like this is a big kind of seismic change for the university, not just for the basketball program.
Yeah. And for me personally, his first year was the year before I got there. So I sat at home as a high school senior watching as a fan. We had tickets there. And then that next year I was in school there and I started covering the program as a freshman. That was his program is the first I ever covered. Zero journalistic experience, no idea what I was doing, and just kind of walked into the men's basketball beat, this program that I had grown up watching. And it was pretty cool. And I honestly, I could not have asked for a better coach to cover, to work with at that point for a young journalist just trying to figure things out. He, I mean, throughout his career, he was fantastic, playful, but informative with the media. He never had kind of some of the dust ups that we've seen with some other coaches that just feel the media are an annoyance more than anything they should have to deal with.
Looking at you, Dan Hurley or Mick Cronin.
Yeah, but
pick one. I mean, there's plenty of them.
Yeah, and then I covered it 4 years. Hopefully it stays there. But yeah, and then I covered 4 years in school, and then I stepped away. I was down covering Nebraska for like 8 years or whatever. Or not 8 years, but for big break in there, and then came back. And it's been cool to kind of be back on the beat these last few years to see like where the program is now compared to where it was when I covered it the first time.
Yeah. That was Missouri Valley still.
Yeah. So I got
early Doug McDermott.
I got to cover Doug's senior year in the Big East.
Yeah.
And then the year after that, that was my senior year, was the 14-15 team. And obviously very different experience than what I returned to as a beat writer. So it's been cool to be back, but yeah, just kind of seeing the growth and both being there day to day and then also from afar viewing it from a different perspective. It's been kind of cool to see this whole run. But yeah, where the athletic department is now, where the school is now, doesn't happen without Greg McDermott.
Not even
like
close.
So you talk about the preeminent figure.
Yeah.
Like the move to the Big East because of the basketball program and because of the heights that it reached with Doug McDermott as the star, kind of the piece leading them into that competition level, and to have the success right away set them up for the future success, and to where they continue to build off it year after year to where they're going to Sweet 16s and Elite 8 and a play away from the Final Four. So yeah, just what he's done for this program, this department, this school, can't be overstated.
Yeah, I mean, I fully believe that without Greg McDermott and Doug McDermott, that this team is not in the Big East. Yeah. Like I believe that absolutely 100%. So like as you mentioned there, that's a huge portion of this as well. My first year covering this team was 14-15 was the year after Doug's senior year. Right. Had season tickets before that, but it was obviously that's 10, 11 years of covering a Creighton team with Greg McDermott at the helm. And, you get to know, in my position at least, I got to know some of the assistants better than I got to know Coach McDermott. And so you get a little bit of a rotating cast with some of those guys. Obviously, like Murfeld's been there the whole run, and you had a long stint with guys like D-Rock and Coach Lutz was there for a really long time. But
Lou, a lot of the guys
Vanderloo's
within the
been
program.
there for
a guy like John McHugh was in school at the same time as me.
Yes.
And went from manager
like student
to,
manager to
and then working his
assistant
way up.
coach.
And now he's a huge part of that program. So so many people over the years.
Yeah.
Obviously, coaches come in and out. We know Greg McDermott's
coaching tree,
and
very
how
impressive.
successful, and seeing all those guys that we did cover that are now running their own programs, like Steve Lutz and Darren DeVries and guys
power
like that.
conference programs. I mean, D-Rock's the head coach at Indiana, man.
And yet you still had some guys that have been there throughout the run or throughout most of it. And it'll be interesting to see kind of who stays, what it looks like next year, because obviously these guys have been here for so long, but the reason they brought Huss in is to make that transition as smooth as possible. And it'll be his program, but everybody's familiar with him already from his previous stint and this year. And I'm sure some of those guys will stay as well.
Yeah, I'll be really interested to see what the makeup of the coaching staff is moving forward, especially, like a guy like Murph is obviously he's been doing this for a really long time. You wonder, does he leave with McDermott at the same time? Does he stay on to kind of help the transition with Huss?
I think he still wants to stay around the game.
Which is
very
great.
much, he wants to just keep doing this as long as he can.
He is a terrific part of the program. And just having a guy, especially for a first-year head coach, having a guy with head coaching experience on your bench can be super valuable. Not first year at Creighton, obviously, he had the time at High Point. But for a guy that's still fairly new as a head coach, I think that's really valuable to have a guy like Murph with that much experience and head coaching experience on your bench. But I do think it'll be interesting to see what the remainder of the staff makeup is, whether, I wonder if a guy like Ziegler sticks around. That would be kind of one that I would look at as probably does, I would think.
I would imagine just his previous relationship with Trey, hired him at High Point. Mitch Ballack, I think, is someone that Huss values, what he brings to the program. And I kind of asked him about it. He said they were down pretty far down the line with somebody. Obviously, with him ascending to the coaching staff, to the head coaching spot, there's already a spot open without anybody else leaving that they need to fill. And it seems like he had already gotten a jump start on that and knows who he wants it to be. And then he said after that, once they get through this last stretch of games, and they'll have to sit down and talk with all the other guys and see if they're all on the same page and who wants to stick around and things like that. But I think there'll be some carryover for sure with some of these guys sticking around because of the previous relationships and what those guys have, the value that they've shown to the program that Huss has seen, both as an assistant and now as the coach in waiting.
Well, let's get to the crown here, because Creighton starts tonight against Rutgers. You got to love a 9:30 p.m. local time tip. That's definitely my favorite. But they've got an opportunity to, I don't know if it's change how we feel about the way this season went, but certainly end it on a more positive note. As you're kind of looking at what this opportunity presents for Creighton to end the season, how are you processing individual game versus how you think this could maybe change how we feel about the season?
Yeah, it's tough especially knowing that it's 1, 2, or 3 games and that's it. There's
smaller field than last year.
Smaller field, less of a run. Obviously, in Nebraska, what they went through, there was kind of a decent sample size there for some guys to kind of rise up, and a guy like Cale Jacobson to establish a role for himself moving into the next year. We'll see kind of how I don't know that anything's dramatically going to change with the rotation, and I don't think they're suddenly going to play Hudson Greer 35 minutes just because he's a future cornerstone of the program you want him to be. I think Mac's going to coach it like he's going to coach it, and it's up to these. Obviously, Austin Swartz isn't going to be this. That's another young guy that you think could be part of the future that is dealing with some injury issues, didn't make the trip. So that's one less guy, which means it's
so maybe there are some minutes
other
for
guys.
Greer,
So it'll be interesting to see how they go with this. I was kind of the main thing going in this is more games for the seniors, extend their careers, and particularly Josh Dix. He deserves to play as much as he can for everything that he's gone through and persevered through this season. And I think I was talking with somebody at practice today, and it seemed like he's had more pop recently. It's maybe as he's gotten through the worst of it, that he's able to play a little bit more freely, considering everything he had weighing on him throughout the season.
Yeah.
He's been looking good in practice. I hope, like, for his sake, I hope he can go out and play really well.
Yeah.
And then obviously Nick Graves, his last games, Mac's last game. So that's in the moment, like, that's, I think, kind of the motivation and the kind of the biggest factor here is this is it for these guys, and let's try to extend it as long as we can. And then also you see if some guys, again, like Hudson Greer, can he go out and and kind of like pop and show some things that you can get excited about heading into the offseason and in next year. We'll see if anything like that can emerge.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think it's mostly about just more games for these guys.
Do you think there's any chance, obviously Swartz isn't playing, so that's a guy that either he's making a decision or they're making a decision about him. I do think there's going to be a lot of that both ways with this roster, whether it's, a Freeman or a Harper or whoever else. Obviously they want to keep Greer around and some of these other guys, but do you think there's any decisions that might be made based off of, like, oh, we actually did see more out of this guy than we saw during the regular season when, maybe there is an opportunity available for someone that didn't get that chance in the regular season?
Probably not, just because everybody kind of had, like, they've played everybody.
Yeah.
They've had the deep rotation.
A lot.
They're going to have 11 guys available out there. Jackson McAndrew is making the trip, but I think that's partly continuous rehab with Jeremy Anderson, and also just to be around the group. I think Austin is in a position where they're kind of weighing surgery, and so made sense for him not to go with, and some of the other guys that are sideline and not a chance to play. But I think they felt it was important to bring Jackson along for those reasons. But those conversations have already started. Like, Huss has addressed the team and talked to them about his vision for the future and stuff like that. I think probably some communication with some representation, stuff like that, has already started to get an idea before the portal opens. But I think those meetings will really begin in earnest once they get through this, and obviously decision will start to come. I think it does say something that none of those decisions have been made or announced.
Already?
Like, those guys are for this last run, they're all on board to go out and play these last games. We saw Colorado had some players that declared their intention to enter the portal and didn't play for them. Although for the most part, everybody in the field, like all these teams have had pretty
intact. I think.
Like, all the stars for the most part are playing. I think Colorado's the one that had significant multiple guys that that didn't play. But like Oklahoma, Baylor, their guys, Yesufu and Carr both played. Corey for Stanford's playing. So I think, considering what this tournament could have been, I think it turned out probably as good as Fox could have hoped, just in terms of guys participating.
It could have been ugly,
especially what we saw last year with, like, it was a great run for Nebraska. They were facing some skeleton crews on some of those teams.
By far the most intact team in that tournament.
Yes. And even they were missing a couple of guys because of injury and guys shutting it down early. So I don't know that anything's going to be dramatically different, and I don't know that if somebody goes out and scores 20 in a game, will that change anything? I don't know, because we've seen all these guys at different points have popped. And they haven't necessarily been able to sustain it, and maybe the roles haven't always been there. So I don't know that we're going to learn anything about this team or about any of these guys within this abbreviated run here that the coaches probably don't already feel one way or the other, and that the players probably don't already feel.
One of the interesting things I thought last year with Nebraska's run through this tournament was I did feel like it changed the way they were perceived going into next season, including in terms of transfer portal, right?
Yeah.
I imagine Creighton will be active in the transfer portal. They've got some holes they probably need to fill, especially, with the decommitment of one of their members from this class. And you wonder if they might still be involved, might not still be involved. It's hard to tell at this point, but that's a spot they probably weren't anticipating having open. You imagine there'll be some other roster turnover in one way or another. Do you think there's an opportunity for them to position themselves more positively in the transfer portal than maybe they would be if they weren't in this tournament?
To a certain extent, winning always helps. Like ending on a high note, that always helps. Just something fresh in the player's mind. But ultimately, I think because of the coaching transition and I mean, Creighton's overall history and obviously Huss's involvement with some of that, I think you're going to be able to drum up the excitement regardless, because like, hey, come in and be part of this first class
and he's a high level recruiter. Huss is a super high level recruiter.
Yeah, and it'll be fascinating. Like I'm doing it kind of more of a deep dive for once we get through these games into Huss's high point teams and kind of how that meshes with what he said at his introductory press conference in terms of how he wants the team, how he's kind of like his vision for how this team is going to play, and kind of what the differences may be in terms of what he got at High Point versus what he thinks he can get at Creighton. And so I'll dive into all of that. It is kind of, there are some interesting things in there about like Huss's teams and what he did at High Point, and we'll see how much of that translates to Creighton. But ultimately, yeah, I think anytime you step out there, it's a chance to advertise for your program. But I mean, I don't necessarily know that it's gonna open more doors if they go out and win this thing. It'll just be a nice little thing to kind of an icebreaker or whatever as they get into what truly matters in those recruitments.
Any thoughts on the matchup with Rutgers specifically?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I mean, you look at just the KenPom ratings for all these teams. Rutgers is by far the worst team.
Yeah, like
in this field. 122.
Yeah.
Creighton 74, and so far, obviously, Wednesday the tournament started. Oklahoma and Baylor both advanced.
Yep.
Oklahoma in a close one overtime. Baylor not so much. Minnesota bowing out in that one. So that half of the field is already set. We've got Stanford, West Virginia, 62 versus 63 in KenPom going in. Is the other side on Creighton's or the other matchup on Creighton's side of the bracket. And then you got Creighton and Rutgers here. I mean, looking at it, Rutgers they're not a great. I know I saw that Tariq Francis, their leading scorer, the only double-digit scorer on the team, he got banged up in practice on Friday, was day-to-day, according to Jerry Carino of the Osbury New Press out there. So we'll see. He made the trip. I'm assuming he's going to play. We'll see if he's 100%, if he recovered from that. That's obviously a significant factor. I think Creighton's Owen Freeman just had some bad luck. He wasn't able to practice on Tuesday because needed some, I guess, dental work is the way to put it, because just again, really bad luck. He's caught some. He's been in the wrong spot at the wrong time a couple of times in practice to further set back his issue. But he did make the trip. He is with the team. They anticipate him playing, but just another guy that missed a day of practice after he practiced well on Monday. But outside of that, and then obviously Sorensen make it, everybody else is good to go for Creighton's side. I mean, there's nothing the Rutgers does really well. Like, this is a game that Creighton should win.
Yeah.
Like, if they show up to play, this is a game they should win. And that's like the fascinating thing about this Creighton team, from what we've seen this season, is they're good enough on any given day to beat any team in this field. Like, they could potentially go out and win this
for sure.
They beat UConn, who is in the Final Four. Like, their ceiling is still there.
Yeah.
The problem is we haven't seen them been able to string those performances together, and that's what you need to do in a tournament setting. Is you got to win 3 in a row to win this thing.
And they haven't won 3 in a row since December.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, they won 2 in a row. Like, that was
no. They have not won consecutive games since December.
There we go.
Yeah.
So to win this, they're going to have to do something they haven't done all season, all calendar year long. But I mean, they're certainly capable of it. And again, a lot of this comes down to motivation, and obviously there's money on the line for all these players if they make it far enough. But how is Rutgers feeling about it? How the other side of the bracket? How are those guys? Obviously, some of those guys are playing or have pro stock they're working on. But I have no idea truly what to expect from this team. I haven't known what to expect for much of the season, because like, as down as a lot of Creighton fans are, they still have the spike moments. Yeah. And they're certainly capable of that.
I think
happening
that was the hard
any
part,
given day.
right?
Yeah.
Like, that was the hard part with the season.
Fully give up on it, because there's still enough there that if they can put it together, then they can look like a good team. They just weren't able to do that consistently this season. And So we'll see if a few weeks off, like if kind of the motivation for Huss's last games,
or
again,
McDermott's last,
McDermott's last games as before the Huss transition, because Max. They've been operating business as usual. Max running everything. Obviously, Huss has continued to kind of be a vocal part of that, just like he has been previously. So it's been business as usual for these last few days of the McDermott era. And now they'll kind of roll out the ball and see what happens.
Well, there you go. Any other thoughts before we close up here for the day?
Nope. They got obviously semifinals on Saturday, final on Sunday, if Creighton were to advance. But yeah, we'll obviously can watch these games on Fox, and we'll see.
Yeah,
see if they can find
FS1
some magic
tonight,
and then Fox if they
some
make,
little bit better times too on the weekend.
Yeah, not the 9:30 start, which doesn't bother you at all, but not my favorite in the world. You're used to
it either.
You're used to watching Suns games at that time. You're fine.
It's not so much that the game itself; it's that there's stuff to do after the game that extends even further than that.
But no, we'll reconvene next week to talk about how they did, as well as I'm sure we'll start to get some player movement announcements one way or another.
April
at that
7th,
point as well.
The portal officially opens.
Yes. Yeah, so that'll be less than a week. What is that? Tuesday?
Yes,
Tuesday, April 7th. So that'll be by the time we record again, it'll be the portal will be open.
Season. Yep.
So we'll have some better ideas of what the roster construction might either need or what it's starting to look like at that point. But that is Bluejay Breakdown. That's Jacob Padilla. I'm Ravi Lulla. We appreciate you joining us, and we will be back next week to put a final bow on the Creighton basketball season. We'll talk to you then.